Imagine that one day you turn on your trusty computer and receive an email with a job recruitment subject line. What would you do? If the company name is Daydream, it can only be a scam. But before the protagonist could take any other action, the online recruiter jumped out and started acting out their own script, with Deng Deng being the first to speak. What kind of company is this Daydream Corporation? Isn't that the company that sells super effective hair loss medication, famous for its incredible hair growth results? Ding Ding was no slouch either, chiming in to back up their buddy. I heard they're a pharmaceutical company focused on cosmetics and skincare, with instant results no matter how hard you dragonfolk try. The two of them had just finished their intro when the system exploded, tossing the two cheerleaders to the side with a massive headline. But wait, there's more. Who knows if this advertisement had been verified by the Ministry of Industry and Trade, but it sure was punchy, claiming, "We provide every kind of medicine you could possibly need." The next sentence was even more over the top. "We are a magical pharmaceutical company specializing in creating divine elixirs." But luckily, that was where everything stopped and the duo Ding Ding and Deng Deng headed for their grand finale. See you all at Daydream. But they had to retreat to the wings, and rightfully so, because the next moment was for the final boss to grab the mic and take charge. Kim T was bathed in the spotlight, radiating a glamorous, shimmering aura, but he couldn't put any gold or silver coating on the fundamental essence of this recruitment scam, saying, "You all are the chosen candidates." Kim Solium stood among the dozens of candidates, dazedly trying to organize the chaotic mess of information running through his head. Daydream Corporation, that's a name I know all too well. This company is said to be a magical pharmaceutical company that can create anything, and his train of thought was suddenly interrupted by Kim T's voice, which echoed all the way to the rafters. "Today, we have gathered the most excellent recruits here." He didn't care if the candidates actually needed this job or not and excitedly wrapped it up. "Congratulations to all of you for being assigned to the Field Exploration Team." Meanwhile, the Field Exploration Team at Daydream Corporation is one of the 5 teams operating under the Development Department at Daydream, a massive power in the ghost story universe, a doomed team notoriously known as the company's Suicide Squad. Just that ominous reputation alone had everyone in the audience stirring. Field Exploration Team? I've never heard of a team like that before. Me neither. Someone even raised a simple yet critical question: does a pharmaceutical company really need a team like that? Kim Solium finally realized he had stumbled into a genuine multi-level marketing trap. He never expected them to organize a death game right during the orientation just to screen new employees. This was absolute insanity. Almost immediately, his feet followed his thoughts. "I need to get out of here now." Just at that tense moment, Kim T's voice continued, "However, before you are officially hired," and that ambiguous tone quickly triggered a series of suspicions. What is it now? Kim Solium stared at the door slamming shut right in front of him. He was already feeling frustrated enough, and then he heard Kim T's voice again. "There will be a short probationary evaluation. This will be an evaluation based absolutely and entirely on practical capability, the natural way to judge everyone fairly." Kim T excitedly snapped his fingers, the click echoing as his words didn't stop for a single second. "We will need the enthusiastic participation of all of you, right? We will handle anyone who intends to be a freeloader." As soon as his words and actions ended, darkness enveloped everything, causing another round of commotion. Did the power go out? Why did the door slam shut just now? I think they're about to start another presentation. But the person who made that guess suddenly changed to a more anxious tone. "Oh, sorry, but didn't you hear that sound?" Everyone's body suddenly felt a jolt, as if they had lost gravity. Except for Kim Solium, everyone else was leaning left and falling right due to the intense inertia manipulating everything around them. After a few seconds of silence to let everyone recover from the shock, a ghostly announcement voice echoed in the space. "Dear passengers, thank you for using the Abyss Transportation Agency's services today. This train will not stop at any station. To ensure a pleasant journey to your final destination, please listen carefully to the following announcements." Everyone looked at the station names. "Next station" printed on the board. Unable to help themselves, they whispered to each other to seek more clues. "What is this? A subway? Is this some kind of virtual reality? Are we actually moving? Can't the door be opened?" Some people were even creative enough to imagine an extremely novel situation. "Is this some kind of advanced technology? Or is this some kind of escape room game? Ignoring the colleagues around him who were making a fuss, Kim Solium remained as calm as a cucumber, denying everything in his mind. This isn't advanced technology, and it's certainly not an escape room game. But he didn't share his thoughts with anyone and was busy letting his mind drift into the void. Who could have foreseen this? That applying for a job would pull me into this crazy nonsense, and that recruitment notice wasn't exactly pretty either. It looked like an anti-drug propaganda poster from the year 2000. Daydream Corporation 20XX is hearing publicly for the first half of the year. Along with the unforgettable memory surfacing in his mind, Kim Solium once again etched the name Daydream into his brain. Even the title, which promised more harm than good and was hanging over his head, felt much heavier than usual. Field Exploration Team in a death game. Kim Solium's anxiety finally had to take a break to make room for the announcement echoing throughout the train car. This stop is Melancholy Station. His mind unconsciously repeated that fact, Melancholy Station. After that, without a hint of hesitation, he stomped his way out. Right now, it turned out that Kim Solium was the most clear-headed person here, having realized the bitter reality his new job had brought. I am inside a ghost story. Ending that realization was a reminder sound, and one couldn't tell if it was sad or happy. Welcome to the Abyss Transportation Agency. The space shifted back to the familiar, suffocating urban landscape where Chiho was walking through it in a heavy mood. The way home was miserable. I'm unusually tired today. Along with her slumped, dejected posture, her inner self was just as heavy. Once I get home, I really have to go to sleep right away. But I still have to do the laundry. Chiho's eyelids fought each other fiercely until she fell into a hazy state. After drifting off like that, she woke up and found herself inside a subway car. It looked like a normal commute, but Chiho jolted in surprise. Where am I? She took in all the abnormalities around her and was shocked to realize something was wrong. Even though her thoughts were hazy, she knew that everything surrounding her was truly strange. Back to Kim Solium, he was examining the staff list that had been scribbled all over and was leisurely speculating. It seems like the company is planning to screen new employees through this ghost story. The announcement sound on the speakers blared out again like a debt collector. This stop is Melancholy Station, Melancholy Station. Passengers whose final destination is Melancholy Station, please disembark following the announcement's instruction. When this ghostly train finally stopped, the announcement speaker continued to remind them, the platform screen doors are opening. But while everyone was dazed, it dropped another threat. The doors will close after 30 seconds, there is no turning back. Kim Solium looked at the flashing information board in front of him, unconsciously murmuring to himself, Melancholy Station. In his ear, curious people started working their mouths at full capacity. It looks just like a normal subway station. Can't we get off here? They said the doors are about to close, shouldn't we hurry and get off the train? The noise reaching his ears made Kim Solium's inner self curse, damn it. To make matters worse, the guy named Guak Yiqueng next to him was unusually optimistic. Except for the strange station name, everything else looks normal. He boldly placed his hand on the door and loudly declared, I don't think we should step outside. Kim Solium suddenly felt a surge of kindness and opened his mouth to warn them, you heard what they said, it's Melancholy Station. In Korea, there's no such thing as a station name like that, right? Not only did Guak Yiqueng argue back, but Zuhen next to him also opened his mouth to join in. No, I mean that's true, but will you take responsibility if we just stay here and meet with disaster? Before Kim Solium could even respond, another calm voice cut in, hey. The young man, who hadn't appeared until now, suddenly stood by his side to remind the group, I think this person is right. We should wait and see how things develop first. As soon as he finished speaking, the announcement speaker resonated throughout the space once again, doors closing. It's unclear who led the way running out first, but they managed to leave behind a shrill scream, hey, the doors are about to close, just get off first. Even though Dongsu had used an Olympic sprint speed, he still had to press his face against the cold door. He looked at Guak Yiqueng's crowd who were leisurely outside, and the sweat on his body just kept pouring out in waves. Dongsu pounded hard on the door and sobbed in desperation. We didn't get off in time, damn it. However, instead of taking responsibility for himself, he threw the bucket of bad luck toward Kim Solium. Damn it, that's all thanks to someone. Although Kim Solium heard it clearly, he didn't respond because he was busy letting his mind drift into the hazy realm. I understand their feelings. They surely just wanted to throw everything away and run. But suddenly, the information board outside the station ran a series of farewell messages. red as the color of blood. Zyuha, who had just gotten off with Guak Yiquang, looked left and right, anxiously asking, "Will the people left on the train be okay?" He rubbed his sore neck and replied indifferently, "That's their choice, they'll find a way to deal with it themselves." Guak Yiquang didn't realize everything around him was gradually melting, only focused on gloating and mocking those unlucky ones on the train. "Exactly, they should have gotten off the train when I said so. Just standing there watching will only lead to a bad ending later." But his next two "that's rights" became as mushy as his own body at that moment. Zyuha watched the change in Guak Yiquang and was momentarily struck dumb because it was too terrifying. In the blink of an eye, everything, including the people around him, was dissolved by the ghostly liquid. It took a long while for Zyuha to find his voice, and he trembled as he spoke. What was that?" He didn't dare to linger for too long and turned sharply to run in the opposite direction. Finally, Zyuha was smart for once when he realized something was coming from the ceiling. "There's something rushing down from the ceiling," he screamed at the top of his lungs as he ran. "Something is dripping from the ceiling, help me." But that cry for help ended up meeting the same fate as all the others, being dissolved. It seemed that Kim Solium himself was aware of the disastrous situation outside. He instinctively squeezed his eyes shut, a gesture of remembrance for those unfortunate souls. Even so, it seemed that from the very beginning, Kim Solium had never intended to stop them. That was the fate of those who had chosen the wrong answer. And just like that, with the people left on the train, the new employees' probationary period began. Outside, that mushy liquid was now surrounded by the metallic smell of blood, while the train remained as sturdy as a bronze wall, slowly rolling forward along with the announcement, "The train is departing." To better understand this story, let's explore Daydream Corporation. In fact, this place has jurisdiction over the darkness. In other words, the darkness is the ghost stories. Daydream employees are sent into ghost stories to carry out missions. Naturally, the new employee's probationary period also takes place inside a ghost story, so the announcement coming from this ghostly train now seems very reasonable. The train is departing from Melancholy Station. For a comfortable journey to your destination, please pay attention to the announcements. In a life-or-death survival situation like this, there are always those who can't stand the pressure and scream frantically, "What are we supposed to do now? Did someone really just die?" As for the reason Kim Solium could remain unmoved amid the changing tides of life, it was actually very simple. "Honestly, I'm in a more advantageous position than the other new employees because I've already grinded through the entire ghost story encyclopedia." Then everyone would have the same question. Then wouldn't you be fine? If you have the same idea, you're just like any other reader. People might think that way. A typical overpowered protagonist transported into a world they love, holding absolute advantages in information and monopolizing all opportunities as well as items in the future. Kim Solium once dreamed that if he could become like that, it would be so great. But in this world, there is no such thing as a free lunch served to him. There was only one single problem. A very core problem that Kim Solium himself was currently stuck with. That is, he absolutely cannot stand scary things. On the outside, Kim Solium looks calm, but inside his head is frantically screaming a silent scream, "Me. A ghost story, a subway, me, the field exploration team, me." That's right, harsh reality proved that Kim Solium is an extremely cowardly person. Written text is fine, he can still read it with interest, even excitedly giving a big thumbs up and loudly shouting. Kim Solium likes this. However, the moment it turns into imagery, he is a total coward who can't bear it at all. The proof is the illustration. Kim Solium had fainted. Even when reading the encyclopedia, if there was a scary background or background music played, he would cover everything up, leaving only the words to read. Even on video apps, Kim Solium would click "not interested" just because of the thumbnails. Even when sending ghost stories himself, he couldn't insert a single picture. If a ghost argued that a ghost story needs images to increase its appeal, Kim Solium would clearly refute. "I'm sorry, but I'm a huge coward, so I can't look at images of any ghost story at all." The stubborn ghost countered, "I am the ghost story you wrote." Kim Solium, with even higher stubbornness, immediately brushed it off. "I cannot break my rule." Even among his friends, they were frantically discussing this hot topic. Is it true that Kim Solium refused a ticket because his girlfriend asked him to go see a horror movie because he was too scared? Are you kidding me, Kim Solium? Your name means goosebumps and you can't even watch a horror movie. He had no choice but to text back, "Do you want to die?" The other side read Kim Solium like a book and simultaneously replied very perfunctorily, I'm sorry. While in despair, a reminder flashed in Kim Solium's head. Remember what was written in the encyclopedia. The field exploration team is a major power appearing in the ghost story universe, one of the 5 teams belonging to Daydream Corporation's development department, a tragic team also known as the Suicide Squad. Kim Solium desperately zoomed in on the words Suicide Squad to the largest size, only for him to painfully realize, I am screwed. The current number of survivors in this car is 8. Just then, the announcement speaker chirped again. The next stop is Resentment Station, doors will open on your right side. Kim Solium didn't even bother to lift his eyelids, just dazedly wondering to himself, resentment this time. He looked at the box glistening in his hand, quietly releasing a wish in his head, just kill me already. However, the light emitting from the box was too blinding and eventually caught Kim Solium's attention. It turned out that it had an extremely eye-catching and inviting message written on it. First-class reality gift box from the ghost story universe. Kim Solium blankly lifted his head and repeated the words in his head, but full of confusion. Ghost story universe, reality gift box. He immediately scanned his surroundings and even more questions popped up. Am I the only one seeing this? But facing Kim Solium at this moment was someone being surrounded and questioned by everyone. Are you okay? Slowly stand up now. Kim Solium quickly touched the words with an attitude of extreme caution. Just be quiet and touch it without causing attention. The pile of paper immediately flew through the air, as if a strong wind had blown through. After that, Kim Solium instinctively raised his hand to catch the item that fell out from it. When he had looked closely at the gift he received, he curiously exclaimed, a phone stand. In the end, Kim Solium also realized the familiarity that he had just received. This is definitely a souvenir from the ghost story universe, and it's the one I bought. Time suddenly seemed to be snapped by Thanos' fingers. It frantically ran backward 15 hours ago, when all the numbers on the clock were zeros. The space also became distorted, as if someone was passing through a tribulation. A few hours ago, everywhere suddenly echoed with a ghostly yet concise sound. Welcome, adventurer, to the dark abyss. It turned out this was a shopping mall, and that creepy sound was just high school girls teasing their friend. Did I scare you? The girl who was scared to death a moment ago now had the strength to snap back. So annoying. No one paid attention to the apocalypse prophecy board, ghost story universe flashing like a life-claiming talisman overhead. Kim Solium accidentally walked by and realized it was a pop-up store for that. Apocalypse Prophecy from the Ghost Story Universe. It's an online ghost story universe with the idea of exploring various anomalies called darkness. And here, some fan was deeply immersed in this universe. The cashier looked at the basket full of Kim Solium's goods and kindly suggested, would you like to buy an extra large tote bag to hold these souvenirs? He conveniently agreed with her. Yes, please give me one, thank you. But the people behind him couldn't help but whisper, is he a reseller? Isn't he a scalper? Kim Solium carefully pulled his hat lower and silently replied in his heart, I told you I bought it for myself. I even had to ask for annual leave to come here. To be more clear, he also wanted to add, actually I came last week too, but then the lucky spin event appeared. Due to the social status concerns of an office worker, Kim Solium had forced himself to skip it. I couldn't bring myself to participate in that. Even so, he was here now because his heart was driven by passion, but this pop-up store is closing tomorrow, so if I don't play now. Even the employee popped their head out to push him further. The spin event ends today, would you like to participate? Who knows who possessed Kim Solium that he loudly shouted, yes! The employee had successfully reeled in a sucker, so they walked away much more springily. Please go this way. Kim Solium followed along but didn't forget to add thank you. Before long, a sound urging him rang in his ears. Come on, let's start the lucky spin. Apocalypse Prophecy from the Ghost Story Universe. The prize tiers have been set for each square, so press the button to stop whenever you want. Kim Solium embraced a try-your-luck mentality and decisively pressed it. Anyway, I'll probably just win a consolation prize, but even so, it's still better than nothing. While the wheel was spinning frantically, his mind was spinning along with it. The 7th prize is a notebook, right? At least I should take that and go. Yet, not knowing what kind of luck he had, the arrow was solidly pointing at the first prize box. Kim Solium was so shocked he froze in place, deep in his own conscience, questioning, is this for real? The staff member, as if reading his mind, lunged forward without hesitation and confirmed with pure excitement, congratulations, that's the grand prize. First prize, you say? Here is your first prize, a special gift box. And even though he was already holding the hot item in his hands, Kim Solium's doubts didn't vanish. Is this actually happening? Just in time, the staff member pulled him out of his daydream by suggesting, we need to create a personalized souvenir on the spot, so please let us know your name. And Kim Solium unconsciously mumbled, sure. but his heart was filled with even more suspicion, a personalized souvenir on the spot. Regardless, as music played in the background, his name was announced, Kim Solium. After the staff ID card was handed over, there was another prompt. Create your own character within the team. Everything felt so automatic and natural that only when Kim Solium held the finished product with his name on it did he realize in shock, an employee ID card. While he was in a state of confusion, the excellent staff member jumped in again to play hype man. It's the Daydream Corporation. They're one of the 3 most famous forces in our ghost story universe. Of course, Kim Solium knew that. It was the classic trope of a massive corporation doing business based on ghost stories, and among them the field expedition team was the team that specializes in being pushed to their absolute limits to explore anomalies at any given moment. Thanks to that, it seems like many big-name characters belong to this team. The staff member didn't notice the reluctance on Kim Solium's face and remained incredibly joyful. Congratulations! I'm really looking forward to seeing what an active role employee Kim Solium will play in that ghost story world. Do you like it? Will you treasure it? He replied with an indifferent sure just to get through it, but deep down he already had a plan. I'll have to shove this into some dark corner where I don't have to look at. But just then his mind was struck by a sharp revelation. Liar. Following that, the space around him instantly spun and was replaced by a chilling, ghostly atmosphere. And then, a sudden wave of dizziness overcame Kim Solium, and his vision went completely black. Kim Solium clutched the item in his hand once more and quietly regretted it. And when I open my eyes again, I'm already inside the lecture hall. The memory phone mount was a D-rank item that appeared in the ghost story universe. When attached to a smartphone, it perfectly projects the text the user remembers in the form of an organized page, and Kim Solium fumbled in his pocket while his mind was busy calculating the item. This phone mount, it's an item that displays memories as text. If so, Kim Solium didn't hesitate any longer and attached the mount to his phone. The moment the two fused, the blinding light was like the sun of truth, nearly blinding Kim Solium. It took him a long while to read the tiny text displayed on the screen. Welcome to the Abyss Transportation Agency. I fell asleep and when I woke up I was on a subway train. It feels like my commute home, but for some reason strange station names started echoing. This is the premise of a ghost story that appears in the ghost story universe. The Daydream Corporation's identifier is D16. A crazy ghost story boasting a superior difficulty in escaping among the dusk-rank darkness written in the early days. And forever the field expedition team must suffer eternally. A total of 56 expeditions have been recorded. Kim Solium's inner voice screamed wildly, it actually works. The text of the records I only vaguely remembered has appeared on my phone screen with perfect detail. The ghost story universe he had just entered was a collection of hundreds of ghost stories where many people had burned with a passion for creation. And remembering all those ghost stories instantly was already difficult enough. And because you have to deduce survival methods on your own, it's hard to immediately come up with the correct answer for various situations. But if I have this, clearly God had granted Kim Solium diamond hands, not just the legendary golden ones. He immediately started operating his phone screen. The thing I need to find right now is... Kim Solium's fingers moved so fast that they left no afterimage, hopping to gather more information on past escape cases. Only when he felt the data was sufficient did he decisively stop. Kim Solium thoughtfully brought the phone to his lips, fiddling with it before quietly letting out a sigh of relief. Got it. The announcement voice over the speakers kept clinging to him like a debt-collecting ghost. The next station is Resentment Station. But it didn't affect Kim Solium's thinking at all. After reading the escape cases, I've got a rough idea of where we should get off. The speaker's emphasis on Resentment Station coincided with the moment he was hesitating. The problem is... Suddenly, a complaint from the listless people around him reached Kim Solium's ears. There's no signal and no data, how annoying. Resentment, like when people are angry. He stared at them, calculating heavily. How can I convince these people to get off at the right station? Kim Solium locked his gaze on the tightly shut doors and silently made up his mind. I need to get as many people to get off together as possible. And if you ask me if I have a mission to save many people, it's like wings sprouting on his back while below are moving, flattering words like, "Please protect us, Lord Kim Solium, long live the field expedition team." His answer was, of course, no. But thinking this far, Kim Solium grabbed his head, wanting to explain himself a bit. No, from a human perspective, I really do have those feelings, but have I told you yet? The most fatal problem here is that I can't get off alone. This train goes through all kinds of stops, like a station crawling with eyeballs, or even a station that is completely inverted. Just thinking about it made Kim Solium's head spin. The chance of me passing out halfway and failing to escape is over 90%. Thinking about his innate phobia of ghosts, Kim Solium took a deep breath and boldly stood up because of that. He stared at everyone and quietly made a firm decision. Somehow I have to persuade everyone and we'll leave this place together. Even so, only a fool would suddenly start babbling about supernatural phenomena and darkness. Because Kim Solium wasn't that fool, he had a different plan. Hold on, first I have to build some trust. People are often influenced by the herd mentality. If he could convince one or two people, the others would tend to follow and get off the train. With that guidance, Kim Solium gently drifted through the carriage to find his prey. Let's see, someone who looks like they need help or someone I can leverage for a relationship. But he had only taken a few steps when a piercing scream reached his ears. What the hell is this? This isn't like those horror stories on YouTube. Kim Solium turned sharply toward the voice and screamed wildly in his heart, "Found one." And the person capturing Kim Solium's full attention was none other than Go Young-yoon. She was still busy staring at her phone when footsteps approached from afar. Kim Solium comfortably sat down next to her and opened the conversation in the most natural way possible. "Were you just talking about ghost stories?" Go Young-yoon hurriedly put her phone away out of courtesy before confusedly explaining, I occasionally watch ghost storytelling videos on YouTube and this situation reminds me of them." He took this opportunity to press further. "Can you clarify what you mean by that? The current situation seems abnormal, so I think it's best if we share information with each other." Go Young-yoon didn't hold back. Actually, it's not really information, it's just that literally I feel like everything is stepping out of a ghost story." The lecture hall had suddenly transformed into a subway carriage. She had only given one example, but Go Young-yoon's voice had already cracked. "And then that person just died." The word "died" she uttered seemed to have drained the life out of her. Go Young-yoon herself felt haunted, so she hurriedly covered her mouth and explained, "I'm sorry," mentioning that suddenly made me. But Kim Solium appeared extremely understanding toward her. "It's okay, I feel the same way. This situation is so unrealistic I can't think straight either." Saying that, he let his shoulders slump, silently swallowing his exclamation, "I want to throw up too." Go Young-yoon, after a few seconds of freezing, laughed and countered, "No way, you look like the only person here keeping a cool head." Kim Solium had his own secret misery, only able to silently chew on his pain. Easier said than done. "You just haven't seen how cool I looked when I fainted." As their conversation grew more open, someone suddenly cut in. Beek Sahian broke into a bright, awkward smile, confirming his own suspicion. "I was wondering the whole time, you're the person who sat next to me, right?" Kim Solium stared at him, but he felt vague about it himself, sitting next to me. But thanks to not having broken down yet, Kim Solium's memory was still enough to realize, "Oh, that's right, when we were in the hall, Beek Sahian was the one who looked toward the box in my hands and asked, 'Where did you get that?'" Although Kim Solium himself couldn't explain the cursed gift. Well. Realizing he seemed flustered, he proactively reached out his hand. After that, he introduced his full name very clearly. "My name is Beek Sahian." Kim Solium startled, instinctively repeating the name in his head. Beek Sahian, he's a well-known employee. Even with that datum, a series of specific information about the other person rushed through his mind. An employee of the Daydream Corporation who appeared in the Ghost Story Universe records. His last position was department head. A total of 106 expeditions recorded, 17 of which were noted as special cases in the encyclopedia. But more importantly than all of that, his nickname is Poisonous Snake. Kim Solium didn't take his eyes off the harmless face before him, his mind still unable to believe reality. Is this guy really Beek Sahian? He remained silent, but the person beside him stood up gracefully to return the greeting. "Even though we're in this chaotic situation, at least we should introduce ourselves properly, right? I'm Go Young-yoon." Kim Solium heard it and silently processed the information in his head. "That's a name I've never heard of." The reason he had to emphasize that was because his ghost filtering lens had started working, so she is either someone whose real name was never revealed, or someone who handled ghost stories smoothly and left the company early, or someone who died early. There are a few well-known employees who only appear under nicknames or codenames, but those people have such strong personality traits that you'd recognize them immediately the moment you saw them. Kim Solium tightened his grip on his knees to prevent himself from kneeling while silently cursing, "Damn it." But ultimately, he still stood up stiffly and casually extended his hand. I'm Kim Solium. While they were talking, everyone had automatically split into groups. Go Young-yoon whispered into Kim Solium's ear, "It seems like they're trying to contact the people in the next carriage somehow." He agreed on the surface, "Looks like it," but silently opposed in his heart that effort will fail. In this ghost story, moving between train carriages is taboo. But all calculations had to pause for the announcement to sound. The next station is Ecstasy, Ecstasy Station. Everyone quickly digested the information and turned to discuss it with each other. Ecstasy. That word sounds nice, doesn't it? Maybe it's actually. Only Kim Solium privately denied it in his heart. No, people can't choose a station just based on something as simple as that. First of all, in this ghost story, the theme of the stations changes every time they appear, so you can't just wait for a station name that sounds okay and use it to escape. But people can study previous precedents. For example, in the Welcome to the Abyss Transportation Agency section, there were 32 expedition records logged up to the 56th attempt. The station names were named after colors like red, yellow, blue, etc., and the result was a successful escape with 2 survivors. The chosen station, Blue Station. There were also stations named after body parts like left hand, cornea, heart, etc. But this time, the data recorded an escape failure. The chosen station, Cochlea Station. And there were station names named after years like 2008, 2012, 2016, etc. Ultimately, there were no lucky cases recorded. Escape failure. The chosen station, 2026 station. Station names were named after serial killers. Successful escape with 12 survivors. The chosen station, XXX Station. After skimming through a series of data, Kim Solium still hadn't determined which path he should choose. Even looking through the examples up to the 56th case, there's no correlation between the station name sounding positive and the chances of escaping. Just then, an excited voice pulled him out of his vague thoughts. "The station looks normal, doesn't it? Should we get off and see if we can find anyone?" But when he raised his eyelids, Kim Solium's whole body felt like it had been struck by lightning. Then why does it look like a brand new station in some fancy new urban area? He frantically denied it in his head. "No way. I need to keep every last member in the group I can get and keep my own sanity if I have to witness what's about to happen to them." Thinking this far, Kim Solium immediately jumped up and yelled, "Please wait." He used his most serious tone to manipulate the already wavering collective psychology. "Are you sure?" Hoa Jun, being blocked, asked with some annoyance, "Sure about what?" Kim Solium seriously repeated the question. "I'm asking if you are sure this place is safe. Since being scared alone isn't enough, I'll pull in allies to increase the persuasiveness. I think most people here would agree that this feels like a ghost story. But whether it's in a ghost story or a horror movie, has anyone ever seen a happy ending when people just act based on emotion and gut feelings without any logic or reasoning?" As Kim Solium spoke, the atmosphere grew colder. Do people really want to bet their lives that easily? Hoa Jun took a deep breath and used all her internal strength to retort. "Then do you have some brilliant deduction that we do? You've been saying all these pessimistic, gloomy things from the beginning. Get out of the way, logic, whatever. You think this is a game show with a prize? No one is giving us any hints." Kim Solium just had to wait for that to launch a heavier bomb. We have received a hint." He paused for a moment and pointed straight at the ceiling. After that, he declared clearly, "It's the announcement over the speakers." This blunt reveal caused everyone to freeze in unison. From the beginning, the announcements on the train have always been telling us the truth. Sure enough, each announcement from the speakers was replayed in turn. "Thank you for traveling with the Abyss Transportation Agency. Our train does not stop. For a smooth journey to the final destination, please pay close attention to this announcement." Kim Solium saw that everyone understood the problem, so he calmly continued, "Everything has been clear from the start. It keeps reminding us to focus and follow the announcement." Just then, the debt-collecting speaker sounded again. "Passengers whose final destination is Ecstasy Station, please get off the train according to the instructions in the announcement." Kim Solium scanned the crowd and casually asked, "Does anyone here have Ecstasy Station as their final destination?" Hoa Jun weakly justified herself again, "But ecstasy is a good thing, right? Living in ecstasy, happiness. Isn't that the goal of life?" Kim Solium immediately cut in. "So is Ecstasy Station your final destination?" She stammered in rebuttal. Well. But regaining her composure, Hoa Jun suddenly felt empowered to speak louder. "Aren't you sticking your nose into other people's business a bit too much? If we miss our chance to escape because of you, will you take responsibility?" Contrary to his usual hesitation, this time Kim Solium confidently promised, I will take responsibility." While everyone was still hesitating, the announcement sounded right on time. "The platform screen doors are closing." Kim Solium stood in the middle of the crowd, silently assessing. "Anyway, I've planned to get us all out of here together. That's enough." Now no one could really complain about him stopping them from getting off the train anymore, but just when he was at his most smug, a piercing scream pulled Kim Solium back to reality. "Hey, wait." The lightning bolt reminder left his whole body frozen stiff. The people in the front carriage got off already. The person beside Kim Solium asked softly, "Do you think they'll be okay?" But he himself was busy sweating bullets in his heart. I really don't want to believe this is the truth. I can't believe I have to witness what's about to happen." The first person's footsteps leaving the carriage were held back by a thick, yellowish liquid, but it seemed to have an instinct to follow people's legs and crawl up their bodies. The trapped people screamed in horror, "Gold! Is that gold?" But just like at the previous station, all words were swallowed by the shimmering golden liquid. "Our bodies are melting, help me." The last plea for help was swept away along with its owner into the deadly golden river. The scene outside the train could now be described with 4 words: a living hell. Those who held hope for escape now turned into golden mummies floating all over the platform. Those who remained stared listlessly as the speaker mechanically reminded them, "The train is departing from Ecstasy Station." Suddenly, someone who had regained their senses grabbed Kim Solium's shirt and questioned, "You said you would take responsibility, didn't you? Are you really sure you can find a safe place for us?" He tilted his head to look at the other person's pale face and replied firmly, "Yes." But no one could read the true thoughts in Kim Solium's heart right now. "I have no idea how this turned into me being the one with the correct answer, but my legs are trembling so much that that's all I can say right now. I'm already dying of stress before anything even happened." Suddenly, Beek Sahian brought his familiar smiling face to spout congratulations. "You are truly extraordinary, sir." Kim Solium was startled by the formal tone. "Sir?" He ignored his awkwardness to continue babbling. "In this day and age, people like you are rare. Since you've made such a bold promise, I really hope it yields a good result." Kim Solium listened for a bit before calmly asking back, "Mr. Beek Sahian, is there any station you want to get off at?" He was startled and mumbled, trying to confuse the issue. Why ask that suddenly? It's not really. I'm not very knowledgeable about these things." But his hesitant look couldn't pass the timid, analytical filter of Kim Solium. If Beek Sahian really was an employee here, that means he passed this entrance test. So he still has no feeling about it. "For now, I'll keep an eye on Beek Sahian." The announcement spread throughout the carriage. "Dear passengers, we are entering a curve. Noise and shaking may occur. Please sit in your seats to avoid accidents." He didn't know who had proactively urged it, but everyone obediently followed. "Everyone, let's sit down." However, the chaos unfolding before them made everyone restless. "Oh no, the front carriage, it looks like there's fighting. What should we do?" The announcement said to sit down. Should we say something? Finally, there were people who couldn't stand it and stood up to be negotiators. "Excuse me, can everyone hear us? Please sit down." Yet Kim Solium's heart silently let out a single phrase, "Too late." Sure enough, the next announcement arrived right on time. "We are entering a curve." The train twisted like a water snake into an extremely strange angle. When the passengers who hadn't listened in the carriage were crushed into mincemeat, the announcement sounded nonchalantly, "It is now safe. Passengers may stand up. Thank you for your cooperation." Those who witnessed this scene immediately clutched their heads and went crazy. It really happened exactly as the announcement said. "I can't take it anymore. Let me off this thing. What is this? What the hell is this, Mom?" Ignoring everyone who was frantically venting their emotions, Kim Solium took the opportunity to reinforce his viewpoint. "This proves it beyond any doubt. The announcements are exactly our lifelines, and they are definitely beneficial for our survival, but this is too terrifying. Just focus on convincing them." But the announcement voice sounded like a death curse that wouldn't stop. "Dear passengers, this is an announcement from the Abyss Transportation Agency." The people, already driven to despair, could only dazedly ask, again. This time, it was no longer an announcement about the arrival station but a lost and found notice. "We have received a report regarding a lost item. If you are in possession of this lost item, please disembark at the next station and hand it over to the station staff." Kim Solium's heart skipped a beat as if the announcement were aimed directly at him. A case of escaping through a mixed record. As long as you have the designated lost item, you can leave safe. The announcement continued to pierce everyone's eardrums. The lost item is a man in his 20s. Adult male, blood type A, his right eyeball. Inside Kim Solium's group's carriage, the distorted announcement sound echoed with every beat, making the air turn cold. The lost item is the left eye of a male over 20 years old with blood type A. If you have found the lost item, please disembark at the next station and hand it over to the station staff. As soon as that information was broadcast, he immediately remembered an extremely important detail that had appeared once. A case of escaping from the side story files. An unconditional escape ticket. His memory quickly flipped open the content he had read. Darkness Exploration Records, Ghost Story, Welcome to the Abyss Transportation Agency, 3.4 Escape Side Story Files, a document recording abnormal survival cases where people successfully escaped by means other than getting off at the right station. Some methods had been observed repeatedly. The most frequently appearing records were temporary stops to adjust the distance between trains and lost item announcements. If you get off the train with the announced lost item, you can escape the station. However, only one person can escape. At this moment, the inside of the carriage was still filled with chaotic discussions about the announcement that had just rung out. What did they just say? A man over 20, the left eye of a male with blood type A. Every word repeated in the tense atmosphere caused confusion to spread even worse. Type A, they're probably talking about blood type, right? Amidst the chaos, Kim Solium silently leaned back in his seat and secretly calculated, should I ignore it and let it pass? After all, everyone can survive if we get off at the right station. If only one person escapes early for no reason, it could make the atmosphere strange and cause internal conflict. Just at that moment, Ha-jun hesitantly raised his hand to offer an opinion. How about we find out who the target is first? That suggestion quickly received agreement. That's right, we don't know what could happen. So everyone slowly gathered into a circle. Questions started echoing one after another in the space. Excuse me, how old are you? Oh, I'm over 30. You look younger than your actual age. I'm blood type B, so it doesn't involve me. It was his turn. Dong-su turned to the side and whispered, what about you, Mr. Kim Solium? He immediately answered without hesitation, I'm blood type AB. That response had been prepared by him beforehand, but it was a lie. Actually, I'm blood type A, but anyway, this will pass, so there's no need to reveal that I'm the target. At that very moment, an arm slowly raised with a hesitant voice, actually. It took Ha-jun a long time to gather enough courage to continue speaking with a serious expression. I completely match those criteria. As he finished, he immediately looked around at everyone with a rigid expression. The announcement sound rang out again urgently. The next station is resentment and resentment. Beak Sahian suddenly gave a twisted smile as the robotic sound continued to emit evenly, doors opening on the side. While Ha-jun didn't know how to handle the situation, a shadow silently approached his side. Then he slowly spoke up to inquire and confirm once more. You said you were blood type A, right? He jolted and turned sharply. Oh yes, that's right. The moment he nodded to confirm was the moment Beak Sahian smiled from ear to ear with a crackling sound. The next station is Resentment Station. The platform screen doors are opening. He said while slowly swinging his arm holding the phone behind his back. What a pity. As soon as he finished, the sharp edge attacked Ha-jun's left eye directly. A dry collision sound echoed through the silent carriage, leaving everyone frozen in place. But Beak Sahian still refused to stop, continuing to add a heavy kick to Ha-jun's body. The force caused his body to spring out of position and collapse onto the train floor in pain. A desperate scream tore through the suffocating atmosphere. He suddenly stabbed his own eye. Chaos quickly spread, and a few people rushed to Ha-jun with questions for Beak Sahian. Are you okay? What the hell are you doing? Contrary to the intense reactions around him, Beak Sahian acted as if it were obvious. They said we could escape if we were willing to sacrifice an eye. So why are you all just standing there waiting like idiots? That cold response left the crowd stunned. No one expected him to interpret the announcement in such a cruel way. They said we could get off the train if we handed over the lost item, didn't they? Right at that moment, the mechanical voice resonated again from the public address system. If you have found the lost item, please disembark at the next station and hand it over to the station staff. Despite the surprised gazes directed at him, Beak Sahian only indifferently turned and walked away. But thinking about it, I guess I shouldn't expect much from people who want others to take responsibility for their own lives. That shameless impudence made Go Young-yoon grind her teeth in anger. That jerk! Meanwhile, Kim Solium silently exclaimed, "Oh." He reached up to rub his chin, a look of interest appearing on his face. He truly lives up to the reputation of a venomous snake. Looking at the smile on Beak Sahian's face, he instinctively recalled the demeanor he had shown when he first appeared. I thought it was because he was a new hire and hadn't been tainted by society yet, but Beak Sahian, as described in the Darkness Exploration records, certainly brought that kind of feeling. Kim Solium's gaze followed Beak Sahian as he stepped off the train and turned back to wave at everyone. Instead of sacrificing his own left eye, which also matched the description, he damaged a target's eye just in case only one item was accepted. Right at that moment, the announcement sound rang out, "Platform screen doors closing," which was also when Kim Solium confirmed he understood the loudspeaker's phrasing. Although there was a hint in the announcement, that was truly a bold decision. The problem is he didn't need to go that far. While everyone's attention was still focused on Beak Sahian, he quietly lowered his body. His hand slowly reached into the luggage compartment under the seat, carefully searching. "I definitely saw something around here earlier." Reaching deeper inside, Kim Solium silently organized his thoughts. From the beginning, a lost item is not something that belongs to me, but something that someone else lost. When his fingertips brushed against an object hidden in a dark corner, he immediately pulled it out without any hesitation. Lying in the palm of his hand was an object that looked quite like a contact lens case. On the outside, there was also a small paper label titled "Right Eye, Blood Type A, Female, Age 27. Actually, this lost item announcement is a scavenger hunt where you have to find a potential item inside the carriage that perfectly matches the description and bring it along. Although there are cases where people accidentally escape by sacrificing their own body parts. Before the train started, Kim Solium unexpectedly tapped on the glass to get Beak Sahian's attention. I don't need to criticize him for finding his own way to escape, but this definitely crossed the line. Then he slowly raised the small vial he was holding in his hand up to the glass for him to see. His fingers intentionally covered the label on the outside, leaving only the pupil resting inside visible to him. Through the glass barrier, his expression immediately changed when he realized what it was. That murmur also carried astonishment and disbelief. The broadcast voice resonated throughout the platform. "Passengers who have disembarked, please wait a moment. Station staff will assist you." As the announcement finished, machinery that hadn't existed before suddenly appeared around Beak Sahian's position. They all aimed simultaneously at Beak Sahian's pupil as the voice in the carriage sounded. "We sincerely thank you for your cooperation." Everything happened in a brief moment. He had been attacked. The lost item had been safely handed over to the station staff. The people remaining on the train immediately stirred when they heard the painful sound echoing from the platform. Did everyone hear that scream just now? But because of his actions, no one felt sorry for Beak Sahian. While everyone was still discussing, Go Yong-yoon continued to lean over to check on Ha Jun's condition. "It's almost certain that his cornea has been damaged. I'm so worried." Realizing that the other person could make a fairly accurate assessment, Kim Solium felt a bit curious. "Did you work in the medical field before?" Seeming to fear a misunderstanding, she quickly explained, "Not at all, I only studied that major in university. Anyway, I switched majors halfway through, so I'm just an amateur. I haven't even taken the national exam yet." But this made him admire her. "Just passing the medical school entrance exam is impressive enough to me." The atmosphere on the train still hadn't fully stabilized. After the recent incident, the broadcast suddenly announced, "The next station is Resentment Station." Kim Solium immediately realized everyone was directing their attention toward him. "Are they watching to see if I'll tell them to get off here? Given the current situation, I guess they're planning to entrust the decision of choosing the station to me." Just then, Go Yong-yoon spoke up with a complex expression. "Excuse me, you feel a bit of pressure, right?" That remark made him a bit confused. Seeming not to want to give him a chance to respond, she continued in one breath. "When everyone keeps wanting to rely on you." Kim Solium's heart thought differently. "Actually, I'm even grateful they rely on me." When he remained silent, she continued to express what had been bottled up inside. "I know everyone does that just because they are scared and anxious. I'm sorry, but for you, things are completely different. I am the one who is scared and anxious. That's why I was trying to incite them, after all." After a few seconds of silence to stabilize her emotions, Go Yong-yoon slowly spoke. "I tried thinking about that by myself." That statement immediately sparked Kim Solium's curiosity. "What have you thought of?" Seeming still to be considering, she responded quite slowly, "About the final destination you mentioned earlier." After a moment of hesitation, Go Yong-yoon continued in a cautious tone. "If we are talking about a person's final destination, could it ultimately be the end of life?" That question made Kim Solium pause for a moment as he listened. because the end of life is death. While speaking, she unconsciously clenched her hands together, so I wondered if we should get off the train when a similar word appears. But if so, it feels like telling everyone to walk towards their own end, so I couldn't say it. After listening to all the thoughts that Go Young-yoon had just shared, Kim Solium evaluated objectively, I think that's a very persuasive opinion. The unexpected praise made her momentarily confused, really. However, that agreement only lasted for a moment, from the beginning. Speaking to this point, he suddenly fell silent with a faint smile appearing at the corners of his lips. Then he slowly closed his eyes to let his train of thought complete itself in his head before speaking. Exactly what is the destination? This remark left Go Young-yoon bewildered. The familiar announcement sound echoed everywhere. The next station is Peace Station, doors opening on the right side. When the train car became quiet, Kim Solium continued, if you check the dictionary, a destination means something you want to achieve or the direction you are heading towards. After that, he organized the inferences in his head because the instructions given were not difficult. If you do it right, you will survive. The theme of this train is very visual. Take your seat, find the lost item. As long as you act according to the instructions, your safety will be guaranteed. But accompanying that is a regretful departure. Even those who get off at the wrong station pay the price in a very visual way, so, a destination means. Considering the rules that this train has always operated by, the standard for choosing a station is actually very easy. The destination this train is talking about is probably a milestone that you yourself have not yet reached. In other words, it is something you do not have. All the previous events were immediately connected. At the green station, those who were not carrying blue items escaped. At the station named after the serial killer, most people escaped because none of them were serial killers. Each example given made the argument stronger. Thinking in this direction will make our process of choosing a station simpler, because the theme of the stations this time is emotions, an emotion I am lacking at the moment. After a period of continuing to roll, the broadcast announcement rang out, making everyone inside terrified. This station is Peace Station. Contrary to the anxiety surrounding him, Kim Solium smiled and said with confidence and without hesitation, it is this station. Turning to look at Go Young-yoon's bewildered face, he affirmed, we will get off here. A tricky question had always existed in Kim Solium's mind day after day. After all, what is an emotion that a person doesn't have? Everyone experiences emotions in life. He recalled the colorful expressions, the vivid faces of his companions, despite individual differences, because most people experience joy, anger, love, and sorrow. So it is not easy to find an emotion that none of us possess, but if there is an exception. Kim Solium escaped from his meandering thoughts to return to reality. His distant gaze combined with his naturally expressionless face created a mysterious, unpredictable look. Right in front of the group, the train's electronic board suddenly blinked, emitting cold streams of light. The next station is Taepyeong Station. Taepyeong, peace, definition in the dictionary, a state of mind without worry or anxiety. Taepyeong, peace, noun, a stable, peaceful state of a country without worries. Synonym, Taekang, enjoying peace. They pray for the peace of the country every year. 2. No worry or anxiety in the mind. He is always calm and carefree. He has a mountain of work to do but is still sleeping soundly. No human being can completely escape worry and anxiety, especially in a situation like this. The atmosphere outside the train is thick and covered by the smell of fishy blood rising to the nose. Kim Solium moved towards Ha-jun, who was sitting on the cold metal floor and bent over, extending a hand in front of the other person with a friendly attitude. Kim Solium proactively pulled Ha-jun's arm over his shoulder, using his strength to help him step by step towards the train door. Let me help you. This unexpected act of kindness left Ha-jun embarrassed to the point of stuttering. Thank you, Kim Solium. The reality behind Kim Solium's consideration was actually a rational calculation. Once I lead, everyone will follow. Now there is no turning back. If we all escape together like this. However, his calculation was blocked the moment the automatic door opened. Fresh blood was splattered all over the walls and floor, creating a picture of hell on earth. Everyone's complexion immediately turned pale. Even Kim Solium stood frozen in place. The space fell into a deadly silence. A person tremblingly broke the suffocating atmosphere. Is this really the right answer? Deep down, Kim Solium was frantically screaming and cursing this twisted reality. Out of all the places to choose, why this one? The confidence and decisiveness from just minutes ago had completely vanished into the fishy-smelling wind. How can I convince them to get off here? Honestly, even I don't want to get off. Someone convince me. Kim Solium's 5 fingers gripped his own wrist until it turned white. I'm sorry, everyone. However, before the people around him could hear clearly what he intended to say, Go Young-yoon suddenly raised an arm high. I think we should get off here. She looked through Kim Solium's shoulders, which were trembling slightly from tension. You are the only one among us who has certainty, and you have always remained calm throughout the time when others were terrified. Being deeply immersed in self-doubt when he heard those remarks, he couldn't help but be startled. Was I calm? She offered a completely objective evaluation based on what she had witnessed from the beginning of this deadly train ride until now. There were those who made a fuss just to try and save themselves, but you, Kim Solium, didn't. Go Young-yoon's gaze was firmer than ever. She decisively bet her life on him. Anyway, if we have to follow someone's opinion, I'd rather follow the opinion of a good person. While others were still standing blankly, she decisively took half a step out of the safe boundary. She didn't hesitate or stop for a beat to probe, just strode straight into the blood-soaked space outside. The surroundings remained still and no traps or dangers were activated. Go Young-yoon immediately shouted to send information to those still safe inside the train. This is the right answer, everyone. Get off the train here, everyone, right here. Kim Solium gaped at Go Young-yoon's back. Right at this moment, a hesitant, weak voice sounded right next to him. Kim Solium. Ha-jun tried to form a smile that he assumed was elegant. I believe you too, Kim Solium. Let's go, don't hesitate because of me. In his heart, a complex feeling arose. Kim Solium pretended that nothing was wrong. Oh, all right. Actually, there was a ridiculous truth that no one knew. Kim Solium himself was the one who was too terrified to get off the train. He secretly swallowed a mouthful of saliva, silently cheering himself up. All right. Even though his heart was still filled with fear, he decided not to reveal even the slightest flaw on his expressionless face. If we all get off here, it will be safe. Where only the sound of their own footsteps now echoed, he tried to keep his mind truly clear amidst the eerily quiet space, just focus on the feeling of going up. After traveling a long distance, a large glass wall appeared in front of them, plastered with yellow talismans. In front of them appeared a large glass wall plastered with yellow talismans. Right above it, the sign reading Exit hung suspended, its surface tainted with a brownish-black color from blood that had dried up long ago. The atmosphere around them lost its light once more, gradually sinking deep into darkness. Under the remaining faint streaks of light, they could only vaguely make out the steep stone stairs leading upwards. A blinding light suddenly flared up along with a fake welcoming sound echoing throughout the space. Congratulations, new employees. Kim Solium was awakened by that jarring sound. He startled and opened his eyes wide. The first thing he did immediately after his consciousness returned was to hurriedly observe the surrounding situation thoroughly. He started silently counting the number of people who had entered with him earlier. 1, 2. His gaze quickly searched, looking for familiar faces in the crowd. 3, 4. As the number of people appearing became more complete, the rigid expression on his face became noticeably more relieved. 5. His focus touched the last figures of the team. 6, 7. At this moment, Kim Solium's tightening chest finally loosened. We survived. The number of surviving passengers in this carriage is 8. Stepping out under the bright stage lights, Kim T gripped the microphone and spoke loudly to stir up the silent atmosphere. Let's see, oh my goodness, there are 22 people who passed the probationary period this time. That is truly an amazing record. Unless there was a mistake in adjusting the difficulty, you are an elite class. I wonder what the HR department will think of this. Ignoring his acting out with joking pranks, the crowd below maintained a deadly silence. Kim Solium also quietly blended into the crowd to secretly assess the situation around him. No one reacted at all. Even though no one bothered to answer or respond, Kim T remained extremely enthusiastic. Then, should we choose the most outstanding person among you? In the dark room, a single spotlight from the ceiling suddenly shone directly onto his position. Congratulations, Mr. Kim Solium. Oh, he stood up right away. With a judgment like that, you will do very well in our department. What a pity. Kim Solium maintained his usual calmness. Inside, a cold feeling arose, so he was observing everything. Is this really happening? Kim T handed him a paper bag and burst into laughter full of subtext. This is a gift from the company. It's not just for the valedictorian. Everyone has a part. Kim Solium used both hands to receive the gift from the other, bowing his head to look at the bag in his hand while his lips twitched with fatigue. Honestly, I don't feel happy at all. Just as Kim Solium intended to take the gift, Kim T suddenly gripped the handles of the bag tight, maintaining his posture without letting go. He leaned forward slightly, getting close to his ear, and whispered in a low tone that only the two of them could hear, "Look closely inside." That unusual action and subtext made him momentarily stunned. What? Before he could react, he flashed a bright smile, continuing to pretend that nothing shady had occurred between the two. Now next is Mr. Beek Sahyun. Now next was each person with a dazed, tired look, one by one stepping onto the high platform to receive a gift bag that looked exactly like Kim Solium's. Everyone's reaction upon holding the gift in their hands was completely different. Some couldn't suppress their sadness, while others were stunned like soulless zombies. After returning to his position, Kim Solium quietly connected and analyzed the information he had gathered over the past time. Those who stayed in the ghost story for a long time, it seems like the time frame of each train ride is different. Looking at the person next to him, a rare, slight feeling of sympathy arose in his heart for the other person, Beek Sahyun. Surely after this is over, he will go to the hospital himself. On the high platform, Kim T wore a radiant smile and clapped to conclude the program. Now, has everyone received their gifts yet? With this, all of you. He deliberately dragged his voice out and then loudly announced a formal decision, have been recruited into the field investigation team of Daydream Corporation. A large text suddenly appeared in midair as a closing remark, ending the chapter with the contribution and gratitude of the entire production team. We sincerely thank everyone for loving this webtoon. Just when it seemed like everything could end peacefully and they had been liberated, Kim T's strange voice suddenly cut in. Ah, wait. Anyway, it's not like everyone who passed the challenge put in the same amount of effort, right? I mean, there are always people who only know how to sponge off others. His lips gradually widened, stretching to his ears, combined with an expression of extreme gloating. Fairness must be put first. All freeloaders will be rounded up. In that very instant, strange fluctuations suddenly appeared between the auditorium seats. A few people who were sitting peacefully on their chairs disappeared completely in the blink of an eye, leaving not a single trace, as if they had never existed in the world. Kim Solium was terrified. He clearly felt a cold, filthy sensation slowly crawling all over his skin. Witnessing this lightning-fast purge, Kim T raised his voice once more to send a message to the 13 remaining new employees. Welcome, everyone. Go Young-yoon frantically used both hands to cover her mouth tightly, trying to suppress the feeling of nausea and disgust rising in her throat. He completely ignored the terrified and panicked attitude of the crowd below. He continued to ramble in a proud tone. All of you have earned the position of official employee with excellent achievements. On the empty benches, only a few hollow clothes remained, covered by a viscous, sticky substance of unknown origin. One person's endurance in the group completely collapsed. He tremblingly raised his hand, his voice repeatedly repeating, please let me resign, I want to resign, I want to resign. Kim T raised an eyebrow, feigning bewilderment and confusion at his abrupt decision. You want to resign from a job as good as this? Why don't you hear about our benefits before making a decision? Go Young-yoon feared that this was just another psychological trap that the company had set to eliminate those who resisted. If I hear about the benefits, will my resignation request still be processed safely? He affirmed with an extremely generous attitude. Exactly, you can resign without suffering any punishment. But immediately after that promise, the familiar twisted smile appeared on his face once more. Of course, you might change your mind after hearing about the benefits. Kim Solium's face revealed extreme tension. He understood that the real trap was just beginning. The baton had been passed, and now, Kim T raised his voice to tear through the atmosphere. Let me introduce the top benefits of our company. He understood the dirty tactics that this organization often used to manipulate and entice human psychology. The carrot arrived right on the big screen, showing detailed images of the treasure, wish ticket. At that time, Kim T joyfully introduced, our company is a famous and extremely successful pharmaceutical group. We have even developed hair loss treatments, so you can imagine how advanced our technology is. But we have one flagship product that surpasses everything else. Wish ticket, a type of medicine that can realize any wish. It is called a wish ticket. Just looking at the presentation slide, it seems a bit difficult to understand, so let me demonstrate for everyone to see. Luckily, today is the day I receive my wish ticket. As soon as he finished, he quickly opened the wish ticket vial. Immediately, Kim T drank it right in front of everyone, leaving them stunned and whispering amongst themselves, a wish ticket. Is that for real? Surely it's a fake, right? And besides, we didn't even know what he wanted to wish for in the first place. Suddenly, Kim T's hair began to smooth out, and he let out a refreshed cry of delight. With a youthful appearance as if he had been rejuvenated, he happily spoke up. See that? This is the power of a wish ticket. A single wish ticket can even turn back time. Kim T continued, your team, the field investigation team, always achieves excellent performance evaluations. That means your team can earn wish tickets twice as fast as everyone else. In fact, the top 10 people who receive wish tickets the fastest all come from the field investigation team. In other words, the members of the field investigation team are in the most favorable position to receive them. That's just a clever play on words, Kim Solium thought. The number of people killed is probably even higher than the number of people who actually receive one. Even so, Kim Solium pondered, this isn't a scam. Everyone had seen it with their own eyes, people really could receive wish tickets. This silence was the calm before the storm. Suddenly an arm shot up from the audience. Dongguk hesitantly spoke up, can a wish ticket bring someone back from the dead? He cast an anxious gaze straight at Kim T. Seeing this, Kim T smiled and answered clearly, we have a standard response for those kinds of questions. That is impossible. I'm sure you were expecting me to say that, right? A wish ticket can grant any wish the owner desires. So let's decide right now, shall we? The doors in the auditorium suddenly swung open. Kim T boldly declared, anyone who wants to refuse this offer is free to leave, but those who want to continue receiving it, please put on the mask inside your shopping bags. Kim Solium quietly glanced at the bag left at his feet, muttering in surprise, a mask. I never thought I would actually get one like this. Just like that, he took the mask out of the bag himself. As soon as he lifted it, a business card fell out along with it. Kim Solium observed the business card for a moment, thinking, a business card? So this is why the host told us to observe carefully beforehand. I'll look at this later. And this was the mask. Ghost Story Universe, Daydream Corporation, Department, Reading and Editing Materials. Employees assigned to the field investigation team must wear these masks. When doing field work, these masks are distributed to new employees after the orientation session. According to the staff, every recruitment year follows a different mask theme. For example, employees wearing ant masks and mantis masks are probably from the same recruitment year. This is the symbol of the Daydream Corporation's field investigation team. Kim Solium worriedly thought, honestly, I sort of want to give up and run away. This is a world where dark anomalies always lurk in daily life. A coward like me would struggle to survive in this world. If giving up means becoming cannon fodder in a horror story, I have to find a way to escape this world. And then, one by one, everyone decided to put on their masks, starting from Baek Sahyun, all the way to Go Young Yoon. Even after all of that, not a single person left. When a new employee puts on their mask, its shape changes. It becomes personalized, the mask transforms into a unique shape specific to the wearer. Kim Solium thought to himself, I wonder what mine will look like. Just then, a flash of light shone brightly, and two horns sprouted on both sides of Kim Solium's mask. He thought awkwardly, deer antlers, what kind of shape is this? A deer, does everyone get one? He looked over at Go Young Yoon's mask and thought, an ibex. Immediately after that, a voice suddenly announced, once again, congratulations on joining our company. Recruitment confirmed. Your probationary period has officially ended. Recruitment confirmed. In a split second, a notebook appeared with the words, Ghost Story Universe Item Box, New Goods have been unlocked. Kim Solium silently calculated, new goods have been unlocked. It's too conspicuous, I'll check it later, maybe when I get home. Home, huh. Suddenly Kim Solium realized something, wait a minute. Do I even have a home in this world? A moment later, Go Young Yoon excitedly walked over to strike up a conversation. Good morning, Mr. Kim Solium. Kim Solium replied calmly, good morning. She asked curiously, so you received housing support too, right, Mr. Kim Solium? He nodded, yes, that's right. He recalled earlier when he searched for his address, the phone quickly displayed the information, invalid address. Kim Solium thought blankly, the most recent records are from my college days. Even my family's contact information has disappeared. While he was worrying about how to handle this, Baek Sahyun gave him a silent glance. Kim Solium watched Kim T introduce the management and staff, thinking to himself, employee benefits, so I have no choice but to use them, huh? And that's how I moved into the company dorms. The host's pitch, the apartment is right next to the station. I told you this is a fantastic company. Kim Solium listened and silently judged, who in their right mind would want to move in there after they forced us to go through a survival game. Returning to the present, Go Young Yoon was still chatting away. Did you know? It seems like 7 out of our 13 colleagues received housing support. Kim Solium was shocked the majority of them received it. Go Young-yoon continued, even though it gives me the creeps a little, it's really hard to refuse free housing near the train station. Kim Solium had to agree with her. That's true, money is the scariest thing in this world. The company dorms were actually quite decent. It was a clean, newly renovated building located near the station. Their intent was probably to keep us close enough to exploit our labor to death whenever they wanted, but there was only one problem. The moment Kim Solium walked in, he saw the figure of Baek Sahyun sitting at the dining table scrolling through his phone. Hearing the door open, Baek Sahyun reflexively looked toward Kim Solium. Just like that, both of them stared straight at each other with looks of mutual disgust. My roommate in the company dormitory, of all people, it had to be Baek Sahyun. In a flash, the atmosphere between Kim Solium and Baek Sahyun turned into an awkward silence as neither spoke a word. Kim Solium looked at Baek Sahyun's bandaged eyes and thought, Baek Sahyun, it seems the company treated your eyes. We don't need to interfere in each other's business just because we're roommates. I'll head to my room first. Just as he intended to ignore him and head straight to his room, Baek Sahyun suddenly spoke up to stop him. Hey. However, Kim Solium didn't care and continued walking. Baek Sahyun was slightly angry. He gritted his teeth and raised his voice. Hey. But he still didn't react to his words. Baek Sahyun started to complain. This guy is insane. Is seeing someone else get their eyes gouged out really that interesting? Kim Solium remained silent, not responding. He slowly turned and headed toward Baek Sahyun. In a flash, he placed his hand on the man's shoulder. With a wicked smile, Kim Solium replied in a low voice, yeah, that's exactly right. Baek Sahyun had only just managed to shout what? Before Kim Solium rattled off a long string of words, is this what people call dopamine? Thanks to you, I had a wonderful time. I hope we have the chance to work together again so I can see scenes like that once more. It's been a long time since I've seen something so entertaining. I'm looking forward to hearing more good news from you. Why don't you make my office life a little more interesting? Finishing his words, Kim Solium turned and left. He thought coldly, all right, if I keep acting like this, I'm going to end up looking like a twisted psychopath. Based on my method of identifying irrational people, honed through years of dealing with customers, there's a term for people like Baek Sahyun who usually are known as main character syndrome types. People with main character syndrome rewrite memories to fit their own narrative. They are shameless and have no conscience, bullying the weak while bowing to the strong. They can't be reasoned with, but they are incredibly quick when it benefits themselves. A type of person who paints a version of reality for themselves and then stubbornly insists it's the truth. Dealing with people like that is best done by being aggressively pushy. Saying I wanted to work with him was clearly a lie. It was both a bluff and a precautionary measure. In any case, the odds of new employees being assigned to the same team are extremely low. I just need to lie convincingly enough to avoid getting stabbed in the back while I'm sleeping, that's all. Immediately after, Kim Solium entered his room. The free company dormitory was fully equipped with clean, brand new furniture, complete with a private bathroom and weekly deep cleaning services for only 100,000 won. On the desk were welcome gifts, high-end snacks, and even stationery. The director is seriously insane. These employee benefits are dangerously good. We're just employees deemed capable of working. So I guess the company is trying to reduce the turnover rate. There was even a diary. So he opened the diary to take a look. He thought suspiciously, but why does it say last year on this? And then Kim Solium smiled and closed the diary. He pondered, Senior, I truly appreciate this hard-earned advice, but I am beyond saving. Alright, now I'm all alone. Should I check it? Thinking it, he did it. Kim Solium summoned the notepad that had appeared in the auditorium and tapped it to check. Immediately, the notepad flipped through pages continuously. Finally, a smiley face sticker fell out. Kim Solium muttered, what is this? Smiley sticker? Category, Daydream Corporation Editing Tool Item. Details, Salesperson's Companion. When stuck onto a sentient living being, it makes them feel somewhat friendly toward the user. Requirement, official employee of Daydream Corporation or higher. This cheap-looking sticker is actually a favorability manipulation item, also known as a bribery item. That's why it was completely deleted, because it was too overpowered. After the authors started organizing Roman Colosseum-style battles against each other by using its effect, it was finally decided that the item itself had to be deleted. Opinions suggested that receiving this item seemed too easy, so why not reduce its effectiveness or raise the requirements to use it? I think shortening it is valuable because the world-building portion before getting into the core of the ghost story has become too long-winded. I believe we should avoid turning ghost stories into short stories to ensure the consistency of the plot and overall quality. Turning them into short stories, that's not the problem. The problem is that ghost stories are boring, and sticking a smiley sticker on a famous employee and pulling them back is considered fun. This is probably the only one left in the world. The smiley sticker can only be used by official employees or higher. Requirement: official employee of Daydream Corporation or higher. I guess I unlocked it when I became an official employee. So I get new items every time my rank or department changes. It seems useful for survival, but so I get new items every time my rank or department changes. It seems useful for survival, but in that night, Kim Solium was pulling the covers back, preparing to head to bed, thinking work starts next week. Too many things happened in just one day. However, in his sleep, he only dreamed of nightmares named Daydream that made it impossible to rest. The next morning, at the company dormitory, Go Young-yoon asked worriedly, "Kim Solium, are you okay? Did you not sleep well?" Kim Solium replied sluggishly, "Just a little." "I'm fine." Hearing this, Go Young-yoon exclaimed, "Oh my!" While Kim Solium only thought, "I spent the whole weekend stuck in nightmares." Go Young-yoon encouraged Kim Solium, "I'm getting off on the 10th floor. Kim Solium, let's do our best." Kim Solium nodded in response, "Yes, let's go for it." The field investigation team works from the 10th to the 15th floor, and the floor I'm about to get off at is. For some reason, even this number felt like a bad omen. As he walked to the hallway, Kim Solium couldn't help but suspiciously think, "Is this the team I was assigned to?" Just then, two people were talking to each other in the room. As soon as they saw Kim Solium, one of them spoke up, "You're here, you've arrived." Kim Solium bowed politely and introduced himself. "Hello everyone, I've been assigned to Team D starting from today." The other party responded joyfully, "I've heard all about you, welcome." The person who just spoke was the Team D leader, Park Min-seong. He gently opened up, "Welcome to Team D Class 15 employee." Beside him was the Team D deputy leader, Yoon-hae. Kim Solium thought to himself, "Thank goodness, it seems like they aren't the type to bully the newcomers." Suddenly, Yoon-hae spoke up to warn him, "Just so you know, the blue folder of Team D is the graveyard for rookies." Then she put on a cold face and shouted, "Just kidding, don't you dare resign." Ultimately, ignoring Kim Solium's lack of enthusiasm, the young man in front of him still greeted him excitedly. "Anyway, welcome everyone to the team. Welcome to the Abyss Transportation Agency and congratulations on surviving the death survival trial." Standing before such enthusiasm, his face didn't show any joy. On the contrary, he showed a bit of disappointment. They can actually call it that openly. The young man in front of him continued to enthusiastically maintain the conversation. "Should we introduce ourselves first?" Park Min-seong reached out and pointed at the person next to him. "This is Assistant Manager Yoon-hae." She nodded and smiled, "Welcome to Team D." Park Min-seong also pointed at himself and introduced formally, "And I am Senior Employee Park Min-seong." He also smiled and replied eagerly, "It's a pleasure to meet the Assistant Manager and the Senior Employee. My name is Kim Solium. You don't need to be so formal. Here, if you last about a year, you'll be a Senior Employee soon enough." Yoon-hae crossed her arms and kept a very nonchalant expression. "Of course, there's a chance you'll die before that." Park Min-seong was stunned. "Oh, come on, Senior." Yoon-hae continued using her experience and perspective. "What's wrong with that? Resigning isn't a bad choice either. There are plenty of other jobs out there." Hearing this, Kim Solium's inner heart couldn't help but raise a thought. "Even if I choose any other job, I could still end up getting dragged into an urban legend eventually." Park Min-seong nodded instinctively, showing agreement. Regardless, this new employee was the valedictorian of the entrance exam. Yoon-hae nodded and continued to explain, "True, now I'm curious. Come on, show us a bit of what you've got." Faced with such excitement and hospitality, his expression remained cold and unchanged. "I just worked hard, that's all." Seeing Kim Solium's formality, they all denied it in unison. "Oh, come on. If it were that easy, everyone would have gotten into the National District University." After a while, Park Min-seong walked over and offered a bright smile. "The team leader is currently out in the field. Just sit down and make yourself at home." Kim Solium slowly stood up and bowed politely. "Yes, thank you." In the thick, heavy atmosphere that was increasingly enveloping them, a voice suddenly rang out, "Hello, hello, this is the live traffic forecast news." Kim Solium was quite surprised when he heard this voice blaring suddenly. Does the radio turn on by itself? The radio suddenly blared a few important, noteworthy announcements. "We would like to send you the latest real-time weather and traffic information for the district. The clear, sunny weather from this morning will continue, and just like today's weather, traffic conditions on the routes are very peaceful. However, starting from this afternoon." Kim Solium heard the information being announced and cast a lazy glance. A weather forecast that has nothing to do with reality. He stared at it contemplatively and concluded, "This radio is an urban legend." Seeing him clearly state each and every word, Park Min-seong reached out and turned the dial a few times. You figured it out, didn't you? His eyes couldn't hide his interest as well as a bit of surprise. You're like a ghost, aren't you? Pretty sharp. It's kind of like a daily fortune-telling game. It's a relatively safe urban legend. Park Min-seong looked over at the radio and recounted, hello, traffic information, an urban legend that appears here. Its identifier at Daydream Corporation is TE63, a strange radio that predicts your daily destiny through traffic conditions. It belongs to the dusk rank. Hearing this, Kim Solium went silent, his gaze gradually dropping in deep thought. Seeing his clearly contemplative expression, Park Min-seong immediately concluded, I bet you're thinking, what the hell is an urban legend or a dusk rank? You're a nerd, aren't you? He shook his head and denied it immediately. No, I'm not thinking that at all. Hearing that answer, Park Min-seong slowly took out a simple notebook and handed it to him. That is exactly why we prepared this for new recruits like you. Seeing that Kim Solium seemed cautious, Park Min-seong continuously encouraged and urged him, just take a look first. The opening was a mysterious, dark landscape, and the first line of text appeared as a warning. This video was produced for employee training purposes. Daydream Corporation new employee training video. The orange cat representing Yoon Hae began to smile and greet to all new employees, those full of dreams and enthusiasm, while Park Min-seong beside her calmly supported the procedure. Welcome to the field investigation team of Daydream Corporation. Everyone watching below was extremely excited and looked forward to seeing what kind of company Daydream Corporation was. Hearing that, Yoon Hae and Park Min-seong both exclaimed simultaneously, ah, that's easy. We produce every kind of medicine you could possibly need. We literally mean magical pharmaceuticals. Did you know that supernatural phenomena still appear in modern society? Urban legends are gradually becoming reality all around us. The electric fan will kill you if you leave it on while sleeping in a closed room. The floor that doesn't exist on the elevator indicator, the red mask, and many other terrifying urban legends are also appearing. Daydream Corporation manages all these urban legends, harvesting dream bone from them to create magical pharmaceuticals that help you fulfill your wishes. After finishing the story, Yoon Hae turned and asked, hey, what exactly is dream bone? Park Min-seong smiled and explained thoroughly, it is Daydream Corporation's most important resource and there are wonderful people collecting it for us. Receiving a satisfying answer, the two of them continued the story. That's right, our wonderful field investigation team. Hearing and watching this promotional video, Kim Solium suddenly froze, his face darkening as he gaped in awe. What kind of genre is this? The story didn't stop there but continued to recount the suspenseful and thrilling tale. Look there, watch the courage and wisdom of the field investigation team in action. Your mission is to collect Dream Bone, a magical ingredient that can only be obtained from supernatural phenomena. Today, the Dream Collection vial is full again. The more he heard, the more Kim Solium's expression darkened. His eyes remained seriously glued to the phone screen, observing, did they replace the word ghost story with urban legend to make it sound less scary? They've painted it with friendlier words and a cute presentation. But a deep, dark voice resonated. This is the true nature of Daydream Corporation, a secret organization specializing in manufacturing and selling superior pharmaceuticals. Dream Bone is the main ingredient harvested from ghost stories. With enough Dream Bone, you can create anything from addiction treatment to the elixir of immortality. They can create superior pharmaceuticals that approach the ability to manipulate reality. So who are the main buyers of these pharmaceuticals? Naturally, it's the politicians and the elite. After all, this is entirely a commercial business activity. After a moment of conveying information, the video released an underlying message. Now, take the Dream Bone Collection vial and step into the darkness. Daydream Corporation Field Investigation Team Operations Manual. Our company's future rests entirely on your shoulders. A moment later, seeing Kim Solium silent and saying nothing, Yoon Hae and Park Min-seong both wondered simultaneously. So, have you finished watching? He kept his head down, his gaze sinking, and his voice sounded slightly reluctant. Yes, very impressive. Park Min-seong nodded satisfactorily upon hearing this. They call them urban legends and whatnot, but there is already an operations manual for responding, so you don't need to worry too much. He walked over and started whispering in his ear. By the way, in our company, we call them darkness. If you don't want outsiders to think you're a ghost story fanatic, just call them that. After hearing these words, his chaotic mind suddenly froze. I feel like people would think I'm a darkness fanatic instead. Darkness? The dream mist is thickening. After a while, he stood up and carefully instructed Kim Solium. All right, so you've skimmed through the operations manual then. After a brief exchange, Park Min-seong gave him a special look. Are you ready to go survey? Facing this question, he himself was instantly bewildered on the very first day of work. Kim Solium began to look at the folders strewn across the ground. Time ticked by minute without him saying a word, so Park Min-seong looked it over briefly and announced, "This afternoon, you will carry out a light darkness survey." Yoon-hae walked over and took something out of her pocket to give to him. "Here, take this first." The thing she just gave him was called a Dream Mist Collection Vial. Darkness Survey File Record Collection Item 1 Detail. An item appearing in the Ghost Story universe, a portable liquid-containing device manufactured by Daydream Corporation. Its gauge will fill up when surveying an urban legend darkness. The company calls the collected liquid Dream Bone. As soon as this was placed in Kim Solium's hand, Yoon-hae specifically cautioned, "Be careful not to lose it. Each collection vial has its own serial number and it will be a huge headache if any of them are lost." Hearing that, his mind started to spark a bit of reflection, so it's like losing a shell casing. Yoon-hae maintained her original expression, her deep voice sounding like a reminder before stepping into a darkness. "Get into the habit of wearing a mask. Let me see your mask first." As soon as she finished, Kim Solium took off the mask he was wearing. Its appearance was unique, as if it had existed for thousands of years. The moment they witnessed that unique appearance, Yoon-hae and Park Min-seong were both surprised. It was hard to believe the uniqueness of the mask in front of them. The two of them argued back and forth, full of questions. Is that a roe deer or is it a muncak? After a while of stubborn arguing, Yoon-hae couldn't help but throw out a divine punch. "Just consider it a muncak, they are much stronger than deer." "Is that so?" A moment later, the atmosphere returned to normal. She handed him a video clip and reminded him, "Anyway, put your mask on and watch this." The following video clip was related to a trending topic. "Do this and get 20 million won and live normally." Is this a social media post? The familiar, concise text appeared again. "Do this and get 20 million won and live normally. Play hide-and-seek with a ghost for 3 days inside a convenience store with no one else within a 10 km radius and receive 20 million won, or just live normally." Just as the text appeared, the silhouette of a strange creature emerged. By the way, this is the appearance of the ghost. As soon as the video paused there, Park Min-seong immediately asked, "What is that post about?" Kim Solium carefully thought back on everything in the video just now. "It asks if you'd be willing to play hide-and-seek with a ghost in a convenience store for 3 days in exchange for money." Speaking to this point, he immediately paused, but he watched the facial expressions and attitudes of Yoon-hae and Park Min-seong. A strange feeling suddenly rose in his heart. Why are they showing me this while they say? His brain had just thought up to this point when his mind gradually began to become hazy. Subconsciously in his ears, Kim Solium kept repeating a few encouraging words. "I'm about to go survey the darkness, huh? Just relax and enjoy it." Thinking of this, his remaining lucky bit of mind suddenly flared up. "No way, I'm actually being pushed off alone to hunt for contracts on my very first day of work. And in a ghost story at that." On the screen, some strange information also began to appear. Darkness survey file, urban legend, choose me. Trapped in here, his mind no longer perceived things clearly. An urban legend appearing in the darkness survey file. Daydream Corporation's identifier code is DDE243. A darkness originating from a choice-based script. It appears abnormally when accessing links containing specific numbers. The victim is usually chased by a murderer or ghost, and when writing. It is unclear how much time had passed. Kim Solium's mind seemed to be reborn and he sobbed, "It's so dark." Suddenly, amidst that thick darkness, a strong source of light rose up. Light, this light is like medicine, awakening Kim Solium's hazy mind. "My mind is returning to its normal orbit. I am inside the darkness now. This is the convenience store from that social media post." In his vision, everything looked as if it were frozen in place, motionless, as if it had been left there alone for a long time. The clock on the wall began to tick to 12:01. Kim Solium's brain seemed to be powerfully enlightened. At least it seems like clothing and housing won't be a concern anymore. This darkness is a ghost story designed to harvest mental shocks and screams. In other words, your life is actually not threatened at all. So for a coward like me, there is only one single answer. Grab some water and survive for 3 days. A pair of hollow white eyes appeared right in his mind. This caused Kim Solium to be startled to the point of terror. He slowly backed away a few steps and wondered why there was a face inside the refrigerator like that. Suddenly, a voice from somewhere echoed in Kim Solium's ear, "Choose me." A ghost story appeared in the survey file. The victim is usually chased by a murderer or ghost. Kim Solium began to lose consciousness, acting as if someone were controlling him. A dark, whispering voice echoed, "Caught you." And if they were caught. This voice sounded as if it were whispering in Kim Solium's ear at extremely close range. He was frightened and instinctively backed away, his eyes full of fear. The moment he came to his senses, Kim Solium bitterly realized it would start all over from the beginning. The clock at this moment suddenly pointed back to exactly 12:00. Kim Solium clenched his teeth, sweat dripping down his cheeks, back to square one, forcing me to do this damn game for 3 whole days. I'd rather die, but there's no guarantee it will end after 3 more days either, because if I get caught, I'll be right back at square one. He just looked at the infinity symbol on the clock and guessed, it literally is an endless cycle of rebirth. Kim Solium walked in a daze like a man with no destination. A coward like me will probably go crazy before those 3 days pass. I need to find another way. After walking a distance, he couldn't hold on anymore and suddenly collapsed to the ground. First, just hide and think it over carefully. If I hide under the counter. A terrifying face with 2 huge eye sockets suddenly appeared before his eyes. It began to creep and slowly moved closer from behind. Kim Solium felt that and turned pale with fear. However, that face still refused to stop, continuing to move slowly towards the front. Kim Solium fearfully kept shrinking back into a corner of the cabinet. His face was now pale. I knew it, there are too many stereotypical tropes where they suddenly shove their face at you in moments like this. While his mood was chaotic, he suddenly placed his hand on his forehead, racking his brain. Just one strong movement and I'll be discovered immediately. I don't even dare look at my phone because the light from the screen will reveal my location. He gradually steadied his breathing, searching for a few old, scattered memories. Memory is the only thing I can rely on right now. Think Kim Solium, there must be something abnormal. Just as he didn't know what to do, heaven took pity and a thought flashed through his head. A case where time passed differently than expected. Urban Legend Investigation File Diary 23, Abnormality. Content, chased by a mad woman for an entire 12-hour night in a deserted house. Special note, the investigation ended after 16 hours and 11 minutes. The more famous the urban legend in that area, the more abnormalities they develop. That is just the nature of an encyclopedia page written by many people. When a new legend is created, it follows preset rules, but when it becomes popular and more records accumulate, similar motifs will definitely start repeating. That is when people start weaving in exceptions. They insert plot twists to escape that repetition and boredom. The record I just remembered is one of those exceptions. A diary recording the fact that the field investigation team survived for 12 hours in an abandoned hospital. But special note, the investigation ended after 16 hours and 11 minutes. In a legend that should have ended after surviving for 12 hours. They lost 4 more hours before escaping. A case where an abnormal phenomenon distorted time during the investigation. There must definitely be some kind of special note in that diary. Kim Solium tried to force his brain to remember that day. Remember it, remember it. The more he thought, the more restless his mind became. His hand gripped his hair tightly and his teeth ground together in anxious agitation. Let's see, what was it? I'm sure they messed something up. Thus, Kim Solium's mind once again awakened, recalling the old story. That was because they didn't receive the notification to end the doctor's shift. 3 hours and 12 minutes since entering the dark zone. 3 hours and 12 minutes. Employee Lee D accidentally broke the phone line at the counter. 12 hours and 12 minutes since entering the dark zone. 12 hours and 12 minutes had passed. It was 7:12 a.m., but the sun hadn't risen. The legend didn't end and the doctor's shift continued. 16 hours since entering the dark zone. 16 hours and 9 minutes. The phone line was successfully restored. The phone rang immediately. 16 hours and 11 minutes. The doctor answered the shift change call. 16 hours and 11 minutes. The doctor disappeared. The legend ended. Although this story is a case of time being extended, it contains a clue, meaning there is a specific trigger element that can force the time in the legend to end. The more he thought about that legend, the more his mind struggled if it didn't end because the time-stamping trigger didn't work, then conversely, if I trigger it earlier. Right at this moment, a voice from the loudspeaker echoed, "Announcement to all employees." The sound suddenly came in a rush, repeating itself, "Announcement to all employees, announcement to all employees." Facing hundreds and thousands of similar announcements, Kim Solium's brain felt like it was about to overload. I knew it. Not only did the announcement sound not stop, but on the contrary, it echoed even more hurriedly. Kim Solium knew full well where this sudden, awkward situation came from. It knows I'm here and is messing with me. I have to escape outside and run fast. Even if I get caught, I am not allowed to let myself get used to this feeling of utter helplessness. Kim Solium seemed to gather all his confidence at this very moment, since it will stand right in front of the counter if I slip out to the side. Before he could finish his vow, his eyes froze, glancing to one side. Kim Solium finally caught sight of a large creature hugging the loudspeaker. A deep, whispering voice echoed, "Caught you." Kim Solium now used all his strength and confidence to dash straight ahead, his mind beginning to waver. Rebirth? 3 days, only in my dreams could I survive that long. Kim Solium suddenly froze, his face pale, sweat dripping steadily. If I keep repeating this over and over, my mind will go crazy. Somehow, I must find the trigger and start it to push the end of this legend earlier. Everything around him in this room began to become suffocatingly quiet. He looked at the clock showing the current day and time, April 4th, 1200. If I can force anything that is supposed to happen in 3 days based on that clock to happen before the deadline, then this legend will end. What exactly will happen at the convenience store in 3 days? Arranging the goods that aren't supposed to arrive for another 3 days? No, that's too complicated. Let's look for something a little simpler. Immersed in the cycle of time for a while, Kim Solium's eyes suddenly widened in amazement. Expiry date. Mentioning this, he began to realize and associate that convenience stores will dispose of food as soon as it expires. If I find a product that will expire in the next 3 days and dispose of it early. Thinking of that, Kim Solium didn't hesitate at all and dashed straight to the convenience store. He casually picked up a lunch box and looked. Jackpot. His heart was joyful, but his eyes were filled with fear, starting to glance left and right. A strange, hazy scene began to appear in his mind. The computer screen was suddenly turned on while the room didn't have a single soul. Seeing the atmosphere unchanged, Kim Solium told himself, it's just my imagination. The ghost hasn't appeared yet. Most POS systems have the function to change the date and time. First, I'll change it to 3 days later. April 7th, 11:59 p.m. After confirming it was correct and matched, he didn't hesitate to press a key on the mouse. As the click was performed, a thought arose in his mind. Please succeed. A moment later, a change successful notification appeared on the system screen. Seeing that text, Kim Solium's lips couldn't help but curl up. All right, everything is perfect. But it didn't last long before the system warned, expiry warning, there are products about to expire. Right at this moment, in the dark night from the room, a black silhouette appeared. Its eyes remained wide open, continuing to follow Kim Solium's every move. It began to appear in every posture, from normal to bizarre. It started acting playfully, moving slowly, then suddenly rushed straight towards him. Kim Solium was terrified, biting his lip, trying to endure it. Don't look, just finish the job. The monster's silhouette gradually faded. Shortly after, the system suddenly showed a notification. Do you want to register the expiry of products for disposal? Kim Solium didn't hesitate to press the button right away. As soon as the click was performed, the system chimed a notification. Registration complete. Expired products have been registered for disposal. Right at this moment, drops of sweat from his face kept dripping down to the ground. It took a while for Kim Solium to completely escape from the darkness that had enveloped him all this time. He looked at the receipt printer in operation, unable to hide his astonishment. Seeing that everything seemed to be going smoothly, Kim Solium sighed in relief. Success. I knew it, people really need to see daylight to survive. My mind is at peace again. Just then, Kim Solium loudly exclaimed in surprise, anyway, I can finally escape from here. Wait, what? He looked at the papers stored in the safe and was momentarily surprised. Money. Just then, a thought arose in his heart. Thinking back at the bottom of the encyclopedia page, interesting information, it actually rewards you with cash after completion. Then isn't it actually quite kind? It just likes scaring people. Kim Solium thought of this and exclaimed perfunctorily. In another corner, the sky suddenly brought a dark storm. The earliest new employees won't come to work for at least 3 days. In the meantime, I should resolve this pile of paperwork. Yoonhae walked while stretching. Writing reports is so boring. Park Minseong followed behind and laughed in agreement. Totally. He was walking when he suddenly stopped, his eyes fixed on the tablet. Suddenly a light flashed blindingly. At the same time, Kim Solium reappeared. After a few seconds, noticing his return, Park Minseong and Yoonhae both stood stunned in surprise. Kim Solium didn't pay much attention, only focusing on reporting, I have filled it up, the dream bone collector. Minimum completion time stated by the legend, 3 days, completion time of employee Kim Solium, 1 hour and 24 minutes. About an hour before Kim Solium returned from the convenience store, Park Min-seong and Yoon Hae stood directly in a corner to smoke. While silently observing the sky covered in dark clouds, Yoon Hae's thoughts unconsciously drifted towards him. Right now, the newest rookie of Team D is trapped alone inside a ghost story. Her eyes closed slightly, filled with emotion. She wasn't too worried about Kim Solium because the difficulty of the prelude wasn't very high. A 3-day scenario is quite light for ghost stories. Even if it lasts longer, he has food, so there shouldn't be any problem. To mention clearly the reason why he had to go through the trial the moment he set foot in the door, it was because throwing a rookie into the darkness alone was the signature initiation ritual of Team D. Naturally, many new employees had quit because of this terrifying initiation ritual, which was why both Yoon Hae and Park Min-seong had been chewed out by the HR department every time this event occurred. If things are so unstable, why does Team D continue this initiation ritual? Because if they can't even handle this, it's better for that employee to quit right now before throwing their own life away. Better to let new people feel the harshness of the job from the beginning than to let them blindly walk forward and face irreversible consequences. Because to her and him, seeing their colleague, especially a rookie in the team, die like that was not something anyone wanted to witness. Those who were present in their old stories had disappeared one by one, leaving only broken masks lying silently on the cold ground and white petals quietly covering them. Both of their gazes stopped on the photo of Kim Solium taken with Kim T at the Employee Excellence Award ceremony. A voice spoke up, but this rookie. Observing the serious expression on his face, Yoon Hae calmly commented with her sharp eyes, "He is definitely not normal at all." Park Min-seong nodded in agreement, not even a little bit. Speaking of that, he remembered Kim Solium's demeanor when he received the notification to enter the convenience store. He was strangely calm. Not stopping there, Park Min-seong couldn't help but remember the time they welcomed new employees, including himself. Most rookies were panicked as soon as they knew what we did, but he didn't even blink once. A sigh of exclamation from Yoon Hae's throat erupted after the long string of words from the other. Wow, his nerves are made of steel. Her lips still maintaining their cheerful arc, Yoon Hae directly made a judgment even though she had only met Kim Solium once. "It seems like the boss has had his eye on him already," she replied excitedly. "We are always happy to have someone that brave." Taking a deep drag, Yoon Hae suddenly thought about the distant future and sighed. It will be a whole problem if he is a coward in a department that has to constantly face urban legends. But thinking back, a coward couldn't have survived the probationary period in the first place. While she was deep in thought, she had no idea there was a Kim Solium who became an exception, a coward who had overcome it. However, through a conversation and assessment, both Park Min-seong and Yoon Hae concluded simultaneously, this rookie is actually not bad at all. Suddenly, the process when he accepted the mission was recreated in her eyes, making her suspicious, but the boy didn't take a single note. Hearing that, Park Min-seong immediately explained on behalf of the other, "This is his first job, surely he doesn't know much yet." Thinking of that, he directly uttered every word of assurance with a firm tone. "I will have to tell him that recording information is essential in this industry because our lives depend on it." Yoon Hae nodded in agreement without objection. "Yeah, be sure to remind him." With a sigh, she continued the topic. "When someone teaches you, you have to write it down so you can review it later and understand it properly." He laughed, chiming in, exactly as if he already knew all that information beforehand. They didn't know that thanks to that memory phone mount, the things others had to grope through on their own, Kim Solium actually already knew. After a break on the company rooftop, Park Min-seong decided to head out anyway. That rookie won't be out for at least another 3 days. Yoon Hae let out a weary remark. "I guess I'll go process a pile of paperwork while I wait." As the two prepared to leave, the tablet in Park Min-seong's hand suddenly vibrated intensely a few times. Sensing something unusual, he immediately picked it up to check, frowning in confusion. Why is this vibrating out of nowhere? The sudden flash of light made him quickly turn the device toward the opposite side. Before he could understand what was happening, a figure was ejected straight out right in front of them. In front of the stunned senior colleagues of his team, Kim Solium calmly held up the Dream Mist collection bottle and reported, "I've finished clearing the level." As soon as those words left his lips, both Park Min-seong and Yoon Hae froze in place. their thoughts swirling in chaos. Could a ghost story that was supposed to take at least 3 days be cleared by a rookie in just 1 hour? Kim Solium, meanwhile, sighed inwardly in fear, not as calm as he appeared on the outside. Man, I thought my heart was going to stop beating. A little later, as pastries were placed on the table, the familiar sound echoed. That convenience store was a ghost story that lasted 3 days. Sitting across from Kim Solium, Park Min-seong found it hard to believe and immediately questioned, 3 days haven't even passed yet, how were you able to get out? Hearing this, he paused for a brief moment before saying, ah. After a few seconds of careful silence, he replied concisely, as if it were obvious, I fast-forwarded the time. This left both Park Min-seong and Yoon Hae in absolute speechlessness. He said that as casually as if he were choosing lunch off a menu. To explain further, Kim Solium picked up a pen and pointed straight at the tablet screen. Since there was a time limit, I figured there must be an event that determines the passage of time within that ghost story. If I triggered the 3rd-day event earlier, the ghost story would end faster. So, by throwing away food based on the expiration dates, I was able to clear the stage before the 3-day deadline ended. Hearing the full analysis, both Yoon Hae and Park Min-seong fell into absolute silence, both arriving at the same realization. He was a genius in field investigation. In their eyes, he was the guy who had everything under control, with a line arrogant enough to match. Ghost stories are the easiest things in the world, anyone can do it. The secret to escaping had been revealed. The story of the rapid rise of the excellent rookie Kim Solium, a rookie who broke every record. This series of thoughts was enough to ignite the intuition of senior employees Yoon Hae and Park Min-seong. Prohibiting him from resigning isn't enough to ensure he won't run away. No, wait, I mean we need to help him adapt really well. Without wasting too much time pondering, Park Min-seong grabbed Kim Solium's hand with excessive enthusiasm. When you hit it big, don't forget about me, rookie. Yoon Hae, beside him, nodded and added, he'll definitely pass me soon and get promoted to assistant manager in no time. However, amidst the atmosphere heating up bit by bit, Kim Solium unexpectedly replied with confusion, causing both of them to freeze. No, it's not like that, actually. After a few seconds of hesitation, he slowly continued with a face as dark as charcoal, revealing an extremely serious truth. I was so scared, so I had to get out as fast as I could. Saying that, he seriously added one more determined sentence. Next time you should at least warn me an hour in advance. That complaint left both Yoon Hae and Park Min-seong bewildered. But you cleared the stage in just an hour. Hearing that, Kim Solium immediately responded without hesitation. Yes, I thought I was dead for sure. In that moment, their hearts almost screamed in unison, stop lying. Skipping over the previous matter, Yoon Hae curled her lips as she moved on to another equally important issue. So, how much did you make? Hearing that unexpected question, he just stared blankly, confused. Huh. Seeing that reaction, she glanced at the bag of one-notes sitting nearby and clarified, you're getting paid for solving that ghost story. Only then did Kim Solium understand. After hesitating for a moment, he replied without hesitation, ah, I received 10 million won. The moment he finished, slender fingers belonging to someone on Team D placed firmly on his shoulder and declared decisively, you keep it all. Kim Solium was momentarily stunned and questioned back, what? Patting his shoulder to reassure him, Yoon Hae continued to explain with a very generous attitude. Normally, the company takes half, but you worked hard, so just keep it all. We'll handle the paperwork with our senior experience, so you don't need to worry about anything else. Seeing Kim Solium stunned, she thought he was shy, so she immediately insisted, don't bother refusing, just take it. But the truth was that the money wasn't just 10 but 20 million won. His conscience couldn't help but waver as he thought it was supposed to be split 50-50. After the conversation ended, she stood up and spoke with an enigmatic tone. All right, now that the work is done, it's time for the most important part. Park Min-seong, who had been silent until now, laughed with interest upon hearing this. Ah, it's time for that. Their expressions made Kim Solium unable to hide his curiosity. That, he replied excitedly, adding points to the employee welfare shopping page. Opening the computer and logging into the company's internal network, the registration system popped up on the screen in a flash. Hello, employee Kim Solium. Points will be awarded after the review process. On the desk, neatly arranged, were all sorts of cute stationery, and beside them sat a small stuffed lizard with round, wide eyes. By now, the appraisal and accumulation of points were happening quickly enough for him to understand. so clearing an E-rank stage solo gets you 100 points. So he immediately started looking up information, his hands moving over the mouse with extreme skill. Let's see if there's anything worth buying with 100 points. On the very first page, the product recommendation that hit him right in the eyes was a robot vacuum. Looking at the household items on sale there, he couldn't help but be stunned for a moment, then inwardly gasped and questioned, "It's way better than I thought. If so, how much is a wish ticket?" Just as that thought popped up, the screen showing the jar that could make any wish come true appeared directly in his line of sight with a bright red number. Kim Solium couldn't help but be startled, as if struck by lightning, when he saw the numbers clearly before his eyes. 500,000. The little lizard on the table seemed to mock him, tilting its head. No way. Kim Solium's mind constantly calculated the money he could make at high speed. If I clear an E-rank stage every single day, that's 15 years. Then a thought flashed, wait, hold on. What if I enter a higher rank stage? Thinking this, he opened the point guide by darkness grade. E-rank, 100 points, D-rank, 1,000 points, C-rank, 2,500 points, B-rank, 10,000 points, and a rank, 100,000 points, while S-rank was assessed separately. Kim Solium was even more astonished. B-rank gets 10,000 points. Of course, things weren't that easy, as Kim Solium set up a hypothesis. There's no way I'm going alone, so assuming 3 people go together, taking the fixed number of 10,000 and dividing it by 3, this only made him feel more stuck. I need to clear a B-rank stage 150 times. His heart screamed in helplessness. Are they crazy? The survival rate for civilians in a B-rank stage is only 2%. Imagining the scene of himself having to go in and out of this inescapable journey repeatedly, Kim Solium's soul wanted to evaporate from his body. If I go in there 150 times, I'm dead for sure. After finishing his own business, Park Min-seong slowly walked over and flashed the warm smile always present on his lips. Rookie, did you register your points properly? Contrary to that cheerfulness, Kim Solium was still immersed in mental shock, so he didn't bother to look up, replying after a long pause, yes, I did. Not bothering to worry about the terrifying topic of points for too long, he glanced over the table covered with decorative items and asked, but what is all this stuff on the table? Looking at it, he gasped with interest and stated decisively, this is the team leader's desk. This surprised him, so this desk really has an owner. Meanwhile, Park Min-seong carelessly continued in an extremely natural tone, not forgetting to remind him, the team leader is out on a business trip, so as long as you don't break the monitor, feel free to use it. By now, Kim Solium was even more convinced. This is typical of a company that specializes in harvesting drugs from ghost stories. Trying to use common sense to understand this place is definitely a mistake. Meanwhile, Park Min-seong didn't forget to invite him. Want a cigarette, rookie? He firmly refused. No, thank you. While directing his gaze back to the computer screen covered in data, a strong determination gradually formed in his head. I'll need a way to survive. That thought just crossed his mind, and Kim Solium's hand slowly lifted the keyboard. Then he tilted it back and forth, observing attentively with a calm face. As if it were obvious, looks like I'll need to take a shortcut. The moment he flipped the bottom of the keyboard and discovered something special, he felt inwardly refreshed. There it is. A sticky note left behind without any security consciousness at all. It has both team leader Lee Ki-hun's username and password on it. Having gotten what he needed, he immediately reached out and hit the keys to enter the information onto the screen at high speed. I'm going to log into the welfare shopping site with this account. However, the moment he confirmed access, the system displayed an incorrect password notification. Kim Solium had anticipated such a minor obstacle, so he wasn't worried. Since the registration requirements mandated at least one uppercase letter in the password, all he had to do was capitalize the first letter on the sticky note and enter it. Thinking it, he did it in a flash. He had logged in successfully as the welcome manager Lee Ki-hun notification appeared. The moment those words appeared, Kim Solium's hand under the desk clenched tightly in excitement to celebrate silently. All right. Hidden deep inside the internal system, the Daydream Corporation had an advertisement only visible to those at the manager level and up. It was called the Alien Shop. Among the aliens appearing in the Darkness exploration records, there were some who displayed the highest level of capitalism by selling items to Earthlings. Communication was a bit inconvenient and the goods were dangerous, but the items there were unexpectedly useful. And clearly, they targeted Daydream employees as their main customers, so managers had hidden illegal ad links throughout the company network. Fortunately, Kim Solium remembered the procedure to enter that place very clearly because access was very simple. just click randomly around the welfare shopping page. With calm pupils, as if he wasn't using his boss's account to access a malicious link, he just performed each step. After that, press the back button 5 times in a row. Suddenly, a small green hand appeared and a series of tempting lines popped up. 1-year anniversary gratitude promotion, discounts up to 80%. Tired of working? Click here if you want to become stronger. Click here if you want cool items. Click here. Looking at the electronic hand drawing attention by waving as if saying hello, Kim Solium only felt it was trash. Touching upon the salary and benefits at Daydream when clearing an E-rank darkness stage with the company's fully established guidelines, employees receive 50% of the profit generated. Deng Deng bluntly summarized. In other words, the company skims another 10% off the top. Ding Ding beside him chimed in with chilling words, and the profit from the rookie's first assigned darkness stage will be confiscated entirely. A scam? How could it be this fun? Faced with frog hands constantly waving on the screen, Kim Solium couldn't help but form an opinion based on his own understanding. This thing that looks like a prehistoric internet ad is ransomware advertising a shopping center that only displays for those at the manager level and up. You can access the website directly by clicking on this shady banner, but seeing as no mouse has clicked on it, it's even more vivid than ever. 1-year anniversary customer appreciation program. Are you bored? Do you want to become stronger? Do you want to own cool stuff? Sweat couldn't help but stream down his cheeks. Kim Solium clearly understood the consequences of clicking randomly while using Lee Ki-hun's account. The company computer will save the connection history. I'll just bookmark the link and log in from home. And so, after a busy round of searching at the company, he was able to return home to his assigned house and surf the net on his phone to his heart's content. Thanks to the advertisement URL noted by his own information processing center, Kim Solium moved his fingertips slowly across the screen. If I type in the link I saved earlier myself. And then, the very next moment, a shopping interface appeared before his eyes, but the entire frame flickered with bands of interference colors as if experiencing a severe display error. However, after a dance with interleaved numbers and characters, the official interface from the Universal Shopping Center stabilized completely, displaying cool items from outer space along with a button to view the items. The cosmic starlight view flooded his vision, and Kim Solium couldn't help but ponder for a moment. This looks too tacky. It's not even optimized for mobile. However, regardless of the appearance issues, he still decided to place his finger on the button leading to the list, but I shouldn't let my guard down just because it looks tacky. The items sold here are. And then, the very next moment, the spaceship icon raised its like button and didn't forget to say, "Show me the items." Only a blink of an eye passed, and a series of items of all different types appeared under Kim Solium's observation in a list format. Sure enough, it's really strange. Refreshment surged through his body because of the surprise he had gained. I recognize more than half of these. Nice. Just by glancing at the distinctive icons and the accompanying notes for each item, he was able to filter them. I know about the tableware set, the walkie-talkie, and the camping set. The other 2 items are quite new to me. However, regarding the first strange item bearing the image of a rescue bell, the price of over 60 million won was enough to make Kim Solium immediately back down. This item is over budget, so I'll skip it. With the 20 million won earned from the convenience store ghost story, he had to think about what to buy that would bring the highest profit. Because his first income was just a modest amount compared to what the store was selling, his eyes showed indifference as he scrolled. All right, this is the one. Once the order was placed, there was naturally a period for the seller to process the information through the interface. Please wait a moment, transferring funds from your account. And not making Kim Solium wait too long, the official notification updated with 4 large words, "Purchase successful." Not stopping there, the spaceship icon added that the item was being transported by rocket. A bead of sweat rolled down his cheek. It seemed a scene had arrived that left him stunned for a moment. It turned out to be nothing other than the delivery timer showing only seconds as the number slowly got smaller. 2 seconds. 2 seconds, 1 second. And the moment the waiting process ended was the moment a piercing ding sounded, dragging a spatial hole open in midair and dropping down the items Kim Solium had ordered. Looking at the crates still piping hot because they had been ordered just seconds ago, he hadn't yet recovered from the current sequence of events. Besides a single exclamation, only silence remained. Once he regained his composure, Kim Solium couldn't help but gasp at the rocket-speed delivery from the alien shop. This crazy world turns out to be amazing sometimes, not just full of scary things. Naturally, after getting the items, the first thing to do was to unbox them. The items I chose are. Placed on the wooden table in the bedroom before his eyes was Alice's camping set that he already knew about, along with a silver copper snake he had never seen before. To observe carefully, Kim Solium directly opened the first item, which was Alice's camping set. Its function is to temporarily change the effect of an item. Drinks will double their effects, while cookies will reduce their effects by half. It will be very useful if I carry 1 or 2 with me. Next, he didn't forget to lift up the silver copper snake, an item that had been on sale, reduced from 20 million won down to 5 million. Kim Solium had bought it on impulse after seeing the shockingly high original price. The deeper reason behind his choice was that this was for investment. There are many different types of ghost story currencies in this world, and they can be exchanged for cash through specific forces. If he bought them while they were on sale, later they could be exchanged for the full cash amount. Anyway, no one was watching, so Kim Solium decisively clasped his hands and prayed, "I'm sure someday it will actually make a profit. I'm waiting for it to go to the moon." It's definitely not gambling, nor is it a delusional dream. This is an extremely sober and rational decision. And why didn't Kim Solium buy the remaining items? The reason wasn't complicated at all. It was simply because he couldn't use them. Mentioning the item at the top of the alien shop's bestseller list, the blood-sucking tableware is a weapon for fighting ghosts directly. Go for it, Kim Solium. So the outcome for him would be nothing other than sacrificing himself to the far beyond and never being able to find his way home. Furthermore, the special phrase within the item name made him question who would suck blood from a ghost. Could I actually turn into a nurse and tell the convenience store ghost to sit there while I process it? I will extract your dream essence. The same thing happened with the Wideria walkie-talkie. It would be very awkward if he had to convince his boss to carry it around. Assistant manager, this walkie-talkie is actually an item, not a toy. At that moment, Kim Solium had to receive a dead fisheye look from Yoonhae. What? Where did you get that from? Just imagining it made sweat stream down his cheeks. It would be very troublesome if she asked me where I got it. How could I tell her I logged in with the boss's ID to buy it? Finally, Kim Solium concluded that items like Alice's camping set and the silver copper snake were absolutely the best choices at the moment. After all the item receiving and spending was done, now he needed to summarize what he had in his own bag, consisting of 4 things: the memory phone mount, the smiley sticker, Alice's camping set, and the silver copper snake. A moment of contemplation passed, followed by a sigh carrying all sorts of mixed emotions in his mind. This sounds a bit strange, but buying fantasy items in real life actually feels pretty cool. The system chose that moment to pop up a note about the situation. It seems like Kim Solium has truly enjoyed the shopping session. However, everything has its pros and cons. That day he had to sleep in nightmares with sweat pouring down because the downside of shopping is that those fantasy ghosts come along as a free gift. At the towering Daydream Company building under the sun, a familiar sound echoed throughout the vast space. There are several ghost stories that we manage regularly, right? Today we will be entering one of them. Turned out that the sound didn't belong to anyone else but came from Team D, which was always bustling. In it, Yoonhae continued by offering useless words of comfort to the stage-clearing talent Kim Solium. It's a D-rank dark abyss, so there's nothing to worry about. Park Min-seong kept his smile and didn't forget to confirm in his ear. That's right, it's the same level as the orientation, so there definitely won't be any problems. Kim Solium wasn't enthusiastic at all, even a little, but that gave me severe psychological trauma. Seeing the other person wasn't cheered up yet, she directly supplemented the content with a confident tone. You cleared it without any knowledge at all. Now that you have the guidebook, there's no way you won't be able to do it. Park Min-seong immediately chimed in excitedly. We'll head out as soon as the team leader arrives. After a moment of contemplation, Kim Solium responded, yes. His brain silently switched to finding the positive. Anyway, it's still better than having to play tag with a ghost at a convenience store alone. After receiving a satisfactory answer from the other party, he didn't forget to hand him the documents titled Ranking Manual and the answer sheet for the 3rd quiz program. We'll head in this afternoon, so read the guidebook first. Naturally, Park Min-seong couldn't omit the detailed explanation for the rookie who had only been through 2 cases. It's a ghost story that you will participate in as a player in a quiz show, the kind of game where if you answer incorrectly, you'll receive a terrible punishment. Just memorize the answers and don't do anything unusual and you'll be fine. Following that, he leaned over slightly when raising the issue. Should I give you a paper manual so it's easier to take notes? Unexpectedly, the answer Park Min-seong received was indifference from Kim Solium. Ah, no need, thank you. Both Yoonhae and him, despite having been through countless events big and small, were astonished by his declaration. I've memorized it all. Recalling the moment he was assigned the task of clearing the convenience store level, Park Min-seong couldn't help but raise his voice. So that's why you didn't have any notes. She was also shocked to the point of asking, what? In their eyes, he was nothing short of a genius possessing extraordinary memory who could memorize thousands of digits of pi. Sweat rolled down his cheek. Park Min-seong couldn't help but conclude with a firm tone, the team leader will definitely find working with you extremely easy. Yoon-hae, beside him, also had to admit it. On Kim So-lium's head, the label exploration genius and king of rote memorization had been stuck. It wasn't clear why the two opposite him were overreacting, but he didn't care for too long when his mind shifted to a subject worth pondering. Thinking back, I still haven't met the Team D leader. Looking at the cute desk belonging to Lee Ki-hun, he mused, they said they would arrive this afternoon, so I'll meet them soon. Even though Kim So-lium thought so. Thinking everything would run smoothly, he never expected a variation to occur at the moment Yoon-hae answered the phone and rubbed her head with difficulty. Sorry, no, that will be difficult. Our team leader still hasn't returned to the office. Ah, I understand. After the call ended, she directly scolded aloud because of what she had just received. Are these people out of their minds? They're telling us to just go in with the rookie. Park Min-seong immediately asked back to clarify, they want just the three of us to go. Sighing in frustration, Yoon-hae recounted the whole situation clearly. It's the end of the month and on top of that, the rookie only started yesterday and already did very well. That's the problem with adults having to meet company quotas. Hearing this, he understood clearly work quotas. Anyway, things had reached this point, so she decisively brought up the issue of concern at the current moment with Kim So-lium. Rookie, have you memorized the entire answer table? His mind couldn't help but question, is it possible for us not to go in if I say I haven't memorized it? But unfortunately, before Kim So-lium could get a word out, he was pushed onto the big boat by Park Min-seong. Hey, he's already memorized that thick manual, so this is just a small matter. This left him with only one thought, his mood sinking to the bottom of the abyss. I'm doomed. Decisively turning around after seeing Kim So-lium didn't show signs of resistance, Yoon-hae directly urged, in that case, let's go by ourselves today. Before leaving, she didn't forget to make it clear, anyway, this still happens sometimes, so no need to worry. After a moment of silence, Kim So-lium responded, yes. Now, feelings of regret kept jumping out to question himself, I told you not to do that. He mused, turns out this is how I'm being punished for taking that 20 million won. However, the reason Kim So-lium hesitated in front of the third quiz program was completely justified. The problem was that this ghost story was one he had never read about in the darkness exploration records. By now, he was constantly scrolling through the screen and looking up all sorts of information, but the results returned were still empty, which made Kim So-lium feel more difficult than ever. Of course, I thought there would be ghost stories I hadn't seen before, but I didn't expect to be about to enter an unfamiliar story this soon. Is the company's darkness clearing list much larger than I imagined? Following that, Yoon-hae handed him an old-fashioned postcard that didn't know how many years it had gone through. The entry method is very simple. You just need to write your name in the sender section. Without a moment of hesitation, all three filled in their names with the animal masks representing each of them: badger, kestrel, and roe deer. After putting care into every single stroke, Kim So-lium finally finished at the last line. When the pen tip was lifted, it was the moment the postcard bearing their names circled around in the pitch-black space. One day, I found a strange postcard in an old magazine. It came with a promotional flyer for a quiz show, but when I searched for it, no such broadcast existed. Perhaps they just used it as a theme for a vintage postcard. Out of curiosity, I wrote my name in the sender section for fun, and I was pulled into a truly bizarre quiz show. Hey everyone, what exactly is a show performance? At the very next moment, the space surrounding Team D began to shift and transitioned into a completely different scene, where the intense glare from lighting equipment was bursting violently as if pushed to its maximum capacity. In the following second, the third quiz show officially deployed with an engaging lead, a decent stage, and a dapper host. It didn't stop there as rhythmic drum beats echoed, along with the calm presence of Park Min-seong and Yoon-hae beneath the rhythmic voice of the host. There were stylish band sounds and enthusiastic participants before the astonishment of the new contestant, Kim So-lium. Zhao continued to stir the atmosphere to the highest level. No, that's not all. The show is truly created through our connection with you. Symbols resonated with an even higher tone than ever, belonging to the host of tonight's show. So from now on, don't forget to cheer enthusiastically. Winking mischievously on the TV screen, he displayed a confidence as if he held everything in the palm of his hand, declaring, "Welcome to the third quiz show." Zhao started his hosting gig with great enthusiasm. Oh, our contestants for today. He stood before the contestants with a sycophantic voice, feigning concern. Welcome to the third quiz show. I'm sure you're very nervous before your first broadcast, but a smile is the foundation of any show. A white smiley face appeared in the middle of Zhao's screen, so let's all face it with a big, bright smile. Kim Solium looked at the host's appearance and suddenly blurted out, TV. Zhao was still showing great enthusiasm while hosting. Very good, very good. Action, prepare. He looked at the screen above the host's head, full of questions. There's a TV where his head should be. Is that the host of this quiz show? He is actively stirring up the show's atmosphere, so let's give one last round of applause. Blinding lights were turned on, illuminating everywhere because the screen displayed a hand icon while using body language to show appreciation to the viewers. Your cheering is the reason, Zhao, that this show exists. Below, the audience was also extremely excited. Kim Solium breathed a sigh of relief and followed the crowd in clapping. This isn't as scary as I thought. I almost peed my pants. He compared it to before and joyfully exclaimed, compared to that, this is nothing. Thinking it was just a host wearing a TV mask that helped a lot. He imagined the scene of this whole place and silently evaluated. The studio isn't bad, a bit classic, but just a normal studio with an audience. It feels like those classic American talk shows. Suddenly, he remembered something that made him freeze for a few seconds. In his head, Kim Solium recalled every piece of the puzzle and seriously considered, wait, hold on, a classic American talk show quiz segment. A situation where the contestant already knows the answer. He broke out into a panic sweat, realizing this ghost story. Contrary to his anxious thoughts, Zhao was still actively hosting. It seems like we're all ready to start. Let's begin right away. Everyone slowly counted down 3. He remembered a ghost story that appeared in the Daydream Corporation's Ghost Story universe, ID do A1A4. Everyone was still chatting happily, contrary to Kim Solium's anxiety. 2. Kim Solium had understood the entire beginning of the disaster. The notoriety level adjustment had left countless casualties, darkness level. The count was shouted by everyone, 1. Kim Solium showed clear fear on his face, the official number of survivors. The round number appeared in his head, terrifying, insane. Kim Solium regained his composure to continue this unstable show. Even if I fell into a ghost story, I still have to do my job. The terrifying and cold, tainted film footage gradually appeared in his mind. While Kim Solium was lost in thought, the show had completely begun. The tragedy started from a darkness themed around 1970s American talk shows, initially ranked as grade D. The form on the screen changed. Good evening, audience. You are watching the third quiz show. He happily and confidently asked the audience, everyone is looking forward to Tuesday, right? The film footage appeared in parallel with his introduction. The host explained that this talk show has a different theme for each day of the week, but there have been no recorded cases of entering any day other than day 0. He suddenly changed his voice to emphasize, I have footage where the transition can only lead to day 0's talk show. The introduction and lights began to target the masked contestants, because that is the only day we get to meet our lovely new faces. After participating in the show for a period, but with preparation, there was no damage. The field investigation team had entered from episode 1 with a full answer sheet for the non-quiz part of the day. As of episode 110, 99 investigations had been completed without any casualties, including the prize. Everything was about to change due to something. However, what happened next was in episode 111, the 100th investigation. Returning to the present, he was starting the introduction excitedly. Now, let's introduce our contestants, the Badger, the Kestrel, and Mr. Munchak. The icons on his screen changed flexibly according to his words and emotions. Can our contestants continue their winning streak this week? Don't change the channel and follow along with us. The surrounding space was extremely fun, but anxiety was evident on Kim Solium's face. The 110th third quiz show starts right now. His eyes suddenly widened in surprise when he realized 110 meant the 99th investigation, not the 100th. Yoon-hae suddenly turned her attention to him. She looked at him with a sinister gaze, not forgetting to smile, while Park Min-seong was grinning ear to ear. Kim Solium observed his surroundings and evaluated everything. In reality, the rate of disaster occurring exactly on the 100th time is very low. The seniors look quite relaxed. It will be okay, it must be okay. Contrary to their comfort, he was extremely serious. However, don't lower your guard, this is still a ghost story. In Kim Solium's head, he recalled a dangerous rule. Any act of disrespect towards the show will be eliminated, hindering the broadcast will be burned. Their faces appeared on the screens, and this quiz show was being broadcast live. He realized the danger he was facing. That means any spontaneous action outside the script is basically self-sabotage. Zhao held the mic and noticed his expression, concernedly asking, "Oh my, Mr. Munchak looks quite worried. Are you okay?" Kim Solium made up a suitable reason to answer. "Oh yes, I'm just a little nervous because this is my first time participating in a quiz show." Everything began to change, becoming more serious. Good, very good. Then let's start with an easy question. The question appeared in front of Kim Solium, looking quite simple. Which of the following substances is not a component of the human body? 1. Water, 2. Iron, 3. Oil, 4. Soil. The answer was immediately given, number 4. Soil. The smiley face icon appeared again with Zhao's thumb held up, correct. Park Minseong smiled and explained, and the notification sound rang out, "Badger is correct, truly impressive." He was surprised to see the three of them answering easily. No way, even the Kestrel. Kim Solium was lost in thought while Zhao stood by watching as if adding more pressure to him. Mr. Munchak is having difficulty choosing the answer. He is hesitant. He is actually very hesitant. His eyes lit up with certainty as he gave the answer, number 3. Zhao repeated the answer and led the audience to curiosity. Number 3, so what fate awaits Mr. Munchak? You have chosen option number 3. A smiley face icon appeared again with a correct symbol. Zhao happily announced for everyone to know, correct. Kim Solium relaxed his face a little, no longer stressed. It was clearly number 3, but still. Questions were asked one after another and Zhao's congratulations rang out repeatedly. All right, next question, correct, correct. Oh, this time we are really following the manual and passing safely, correct, wait again, correct. The whole studio congratulated the current result, while Kim T was full of surprise at the current result and exclaimed, "Amazing! The contestants are on a winning streak, answering every question correctly." Before we knew it, we reached the final question of this episode. He gestured toward Kim Solium and asked clearly if they could conquer this final question. Zhao was still extremely actively inquiring, "Mr. Munchak, are you ready?" Contrary to that, he looked extremely tired. Yes. Zhao excitedly shouted loudly, "Let's begin!" The next question appeared. At what percentage of blood loss will a human die? 1. 40%, 2. 45%, 3. 50%, 4. 55%. Kim Solium's expression was extremely dazed, not clear if he was awake or not, as he said, "The answer is." He slowly gave his own answer, number 1. Zhao quickly repeated his words and compared them with the answer he chose, number 1, but unexpectedly the answer didn't stop there, also 2, 3, and 4. Before his behavior, Zhao went completely speechless, represented by a silence icon. Kim Solium confidently faced Zhao and affirmed, "All of them are correct." A series of cold eyes below were watching and listening to every word he said. On average, when a person loses about 30 to 40% of their blood, their life will be in danger. Therefore, if they lose more than that, they will also die. Zhao led the show to avoid boredom, selecting multiple correct answers. How bold. Zhao continued to ask again to be sure, "Do you want to change your answer?" At the same time, someone was running around doing something, but he had already locked in his answer, no. Zhao was informed of the answer by someone inside, while Kim Solium still calmly repeated, "I'm sticking with that choice." He heard that and stood stunned on the spot. The answer our scriptwriter was aiming for was actually number 1. Zhao didn't criticize him at all but led the crowd in cheering for the answer, which surprised him. But isn't Mr. Munchak's answer much more memorable? He happily announced, "We will count this as a perfect, excellent answer, 100 points. Kim Solium sighed in relief upon hearing this, "I'm still alive." The lights were focused in one spot and Zhao began to say the final words. And with that, the 110th third quiz show concludes here. Zhao emphasized the most important thing, but ultimately there can only be one winner. Park Minseong sighed in relief while Yoon Hae yawned tiredly. Everything ended peacefully. Her impolite behavior was immediately reminded, if you really can't hold back a yawn, the polite thing to do is to do it where the camera can't see. Zhao repeated again, but ultimately there can only be one. The light was finally cast on Kim Solium's spot, making him extremely confused and frozen as he responded to the show's congratulations. "Mr. Munchak, congratulations." Zhao was passing him a gift box from the show, a big round of applause for our. He was a bit shy but didn't forget his manners. "Thank you everyone." Although extremely accepting, he still wondered, but why me? Kim Solium sighed in relief, ignoring the reason and celebrating. Anyway, it's all over. Kim Solium told himself, as soon as the camera is off, we can leave this place. two numbers suddenly appeared, 99. Zhao began to say goodbye, expressing regret but still happily exclaiming, "Unfortunately, it's time to close the third quiz show. See you next Tuesday. Tomorrow we will have an even more wonderful guest." Zhao's projected image gradually became distorted. The images of the others also became distorted to end the show, but it was hard to understand why Kim Solium's expression was still extremely surprised by something. The lights were focused on the contestants' podiums. A series of light bulbs were still shining confusingly. The lights focused on those around, leaving the three bewildered people standing and looking. The numbers began to change. At this moment, they just stood looking at each other with a giant question mark in their heads. The expressions of Park Min-seong and Yoon Hae also became more serious. The people being illuminated were dazed and looking around. The numbers were moving continuously. The final number appeared along with Kim Solium's fear evident on his face, 100. Kim Solium suddenly looked at those being lit and wondered, are they employees of the field investigation team? Why did they fall into the same ghost story? On the other side, they still stood with blank faces. Are they wondering about the things happening before their eyes? Those who arrived before us still had a piece of paper appearing with the text, "TV show game manual, interfering with the broadcast will be burned." A fire suddenly broke out unexpectedly in the studio. Yoonhae stared at the burning fire. Zhao snapped his fingers and cut into everyone's curiosity. Surprise! Here is a preview of the members who will appear next Tuesday. Kim Solium fearfully looked at the burning ashes next to him, trying to encourage himself, don't react. The camera on the opposite side was still lit, so he realized the camera was still recording. From the camera that was still recording, he remembered a rule. Any behavior expressing disrespect for the show will be kicked out immediately. His hand at this moment couldn't help but tremble. He could only curse inwardly, damn it, truly damn it. He reluctantly held up the box, flashed a fake smile, and slowly said, "Who will be the next to follow in my footsteps? Stay tuned for next week." Music played and colored paper and fake flowers were released, while Kim Solium was still acting in front of the lens and the other person was standing next to him clapping. Zhao hugged him and comfortably said goodbye while Kim Solium also smiled reluctantly. What a pity, but today is over. We will return tomorrow with an even more interesting show. Zhao changed the icon on the screen to say goodbye to the audience. The stage lights shone down again after a smooth recording. Zhao sighed in relief. That was close, I almost ruined the live broadcast. Luckily, everything went smoothly. Another employee was diligently cleaning up the pile of ashes. Zhao happily sent an invitation to Kim Solium. "Mr. Munchak, you handled that situation very quickly. Would you like to become a permanent guest of the show?" He gently refused. "I have a job." Beside his nonchalance, the other three were worried and panicked. Oh my, such a pity. Surely the new participants had a scare too. I'm sure they didn't mean to ruin the broadcast, so don't be discouraged. Zhao happily informed the three of them beforehand, because the three of you will also soon have the chance to participate. The other employee quickly whispered something to Zhao. The sad icon changed to replace the happiness from before. He approached with a melancholic yet ambiguous tone. "This news is a bit hard to announce." The image of the show's sign collapsing appeared in his head. "Our show has just been cancelled." The news Zhao announced made Kim Solium's complexion turn terrible. To be more precise, the third game show has been cancelled. It's not that my show has completely ended, but the game segment has been replaced. Yoon-hae also darkened her face, trying to listen to his rambling. "Ah, of course that doesn't mean it's all over. We have good news." A worried thought appeared. No way. His unexpected announcement made her extremely surprised. "We will also invite all of you to participate in this new segment." Kim Solium was sweating extremely anxiously. This development. Important information gradually appeared in his mind. Exploration Diary 100. A piece of paper appearing with the words "Third Game Show Completion Report." He reflected on all the information. It started at the same studio as the previous episodes. The current developments were happening exactly as he remembered. However, the show's name had changed. The host explained to the confused staff that the third game show had been cancelled. It is said because one participant answered correctly 99 times in a row, the penalties became meaningless, and this segment was penalized for not being stimulating enough. He worriedly thought about the scripts and understood, and the new part is... Zhao cut into Kim Solium's train of thought. "It is even recorded in advance, so it will be much easier than before." He was still extremely cheerful, ignoring the gloomy expressions of the others. "Although I will only play a supporting role, I will try my best to create a wonderful show." A voice cut in, interrupting his announcement. "Wait, Yoonhae was tired, so she bluntly informed him, "We have already participated, so now we are going back." Zhao's screen changed to a scary red color along with an annoyed tone. "The recording hasn't ended yet. How can you think of leaving?" Zhao approached her with a scary presence, gently informing her, "Oh my, I'm sure the notes were written on the registration postcard. It would be very difficult for us if you guys just left halfway through." A burning icon appeared on Zhao's screen expressing his anger with harsh words. "Is that really impossible for you?" Kim Solium interjected, gently soothing the anger of both. "No, we didn't expect to have to participate in 2 shows in a row." He gently advised, "Anyone can make a mistake during a broadcast." In his mind, full of determination to prevent casualties, "I must stop this." Kim Solium gently made a suggestion, "I think we need some time to prepare, so may we be excused for today." And he silently told himself, "At all costs, I must find an excuse to escape this place." He made a suitable appointment. "We will participate again next Tuesday." The person from the logistics side held up a sign indicating that everything was ready, so he regretfully exclaimed, "Oh my, it seems the preparations for the recording are complete." Zhao bluntly ordered them to sit down, ignoring the discomfort on each person's face. "Let's take our seats. It's time to start the show." The brilliant light from the stage lights shone on Zhao, while Kim Solium bitterly cursed, "I absolutely cannot tolerate this guy." Zhao counted down himself and everything started again. 3, 2, 1, start. Zhao continued to host excitedly, but this time things were no longer fun and the atmosphere was a bit scary. "Hello audience, Tuesday's joy, Tuesday's enthusiasm. Right now you are watching the newest segment on our talk show." Zhao held the script in his hand to continue the show. "No need to regret the end of the 3rd game show, because we have prepared an even more upgraded version of the quiz game show." Zhao continued to lead while a conductor in the shape of a scary pig gradually revealed itself. After all, what touches the heart most deeply is melody, especially vocals. The energy radiating from the conductor spread to the contestants, making them extremely apprehensive. "What a beautiful sound a choir can create, you will surely love it." He slowly introduced the name of this new segment as the conductor fully revealed itself to everyone in a massive and terrifying form, but Zhao still calmly stood before it and excitedly shouted, "The 3rd choir." From its eyes, a streak of syrup that had dried long ago stretched out while its face was covered in pins. "Allow me to introduce the guest we have invited for this new segment. The conductor of the hellish choir and the butcher of filthy melodies, hideous but also quite magnificent, and his magnificent equipment right now." He suddenly stopped and looked around before blurting out, "Please wait a moment." Zhao quickly continued to inform everyone, "The conductor's equipment is finally arriving." Circular discs attached to strings appeared mysteriously. It wasn't clear what kind of instrument they were. Those circular discs had a cold color, combined with the show's red light, creating an extremely eerie space. On the rims of those circular discs were carvings of faces that looked like they were screaming. Everyone below saw the things floating in front of them and were also frightened. "Who will be the one to join the choir? Let's give the honor of the first try to our new faces." Every gaze at this moment was controlled by Zhao, leading to the new employees. "Oh, here is your question." The question appeared on the screen in front of Siren, waiting for the answer. "Among the following organisms, which one has the longest lifespan? 1. Pig. 2. Human. 3. Rabbit. 4. Flea." She whispered to herself that as long as she answered correctly, there wouldn't be a problem, right? The 3rd game show worked that way too. Inside, she tried to focus, but on the outside, she broke into a sweat, her voice trembling with fear as she blurted out, "Human. Number 2 is human." She heard the notification sound and was joyful. "Correct. Congratulations on passing." Suddenly, a head was severed from the neck. Blood splattered everywhere and the body slowly fell. Information about the event gradually appeared in Kim Solium's mind. The conductor of sacrifice includes a single conductor and 13 silver trays that he summons. Blood screams at the circular discs. At the same time, Zhao continued to lead. Finally, he announced loudly, "The first member of the choir is in position." The player's head, with a terrified expression and the lower part covered in blood, was resting neatly on the silver tray. Human is human. Kim Solium understood the format of the show very well. The heads of the talk show participants will be placed on silver trays, and the selection method will be decided by that day's broadcast. The heads that have merged with the silver trays will emit different sayings and instrument sounds, creating an a cappella instrumental-less track. The maximum number of heads recorded is 7. He understood the influence of the first head. One head causes mild headache, anxiety, and sudden mood swing. A player saw the terrifying scene that had just occurred and screamed in pain. The conductor's voice kept murmuring, "Human." The player looked at the head that still had a screaming expression and yelled, "Siren." She rolled her eyes, tears and snot streaming out. "Siren!" The conductor reminded her again, "Number 2 is human." A flame flared up as if it had consumed her while Zhao still calmly announced, "Now, next will be." Heeman was startled with fear when his neck was touched. "Are you ready?" He firmly told himself, "I'd rather take the penalty than end up like that." He clumsily shouted, refusing to answer, I don't know the answer." A beautiful flame along with brilliant flowers appeared, consuming his head without hesitation. Oh my, eliminated. The atmosphere at this moment became extremely tense after seeing how miserable the others were. What a pity you couldn't participate in the magnificent choir. The camera was directed to the bloodied spot and Zhao regretfully exclaimed, "Only 5 minutes of recording and a whole team has disappeared." Kim Solium showed clear apprehension on his face, but his mind remained sharp enough to consider the issue. The penalty system had disappeared, and answering a question incorrectly meant immediate elimination, but answering correctly meant your head would be completely severed, turning you into an A-rank ghost in a ghost story. The image in his mind began to blur and distort, and suddenly I remembered something I had been ignoring all this time. The images of those superiors gradually faded, and he realized that the names of my superiors didn't appear in the ghost story universe at all. A smiley face icon, but in an incredibly terrifying red color, appeared on Zhao's screen. "Now let's meet the next participants. You'll recognize this face." He softly announced, "It's your turn to answer, Park Minseong." A terrifying thought appeared in Park Minseong's mind. If I keep answering questions like this, will we all end up dying one by one? Will we be beheaded or burned to death one by one? That's right, a coward like me. How could I possibly survive this? A heavy rope wrapped around Kim Solium's neck. Sooner or later, I will. He gripped his phone tightly, trying to regain his composure, and silently screamed his own name, Kim Solium. This feeling wasn't fear, it was the sense of being overwhelmed when witnessing a natural disaster right before your eyes. This is a disaster. Don't forget, Kim Solium, the person with the highest chance of survival here is you. You have read about these crises. The MC's cheerful voice rang out, "Now, Park Minseong, are you ready?" Accompanied by the savage sounds of the severed heads from earlier, "Human, a human, I am human." Noticing the person didn't react, Zhao tilted his head and called out, "Park Minseong." Even though his face was dripping with cold sweat, Park Minseong still forced a reluctant smile which seemed to satisfy him as he said, "Good." He asked tentatively, "Before I answer, can I say a few words?" The MC happily agreed, "Oh, of course." Park Minseong's words sounded like a last will. "I have a relative in the hospital. If possible, I'd like someone to take care of them after this broadcast ends." Zhao's tone was full of emotion. "Oh, how touching," as he dropped smiley face stickers into the water. After that, he asked the question, "So, what is the correct answer?" Just as the situation was getting tense, Kim Solium suddenly raised his hand. "Excuse me, Mr. MC." He turned his head in disbelief while Zhao asked curiously, "Mr. Ibex, do you have something to say?" Seeing the host moving toward his new teammate, Park Minseong thought with a mix of anxiety and hope, "Mr. Ibex? What is he planning to do? It's very dangerous if he interrupts the host." He leaned in close to the TV frame and whispered, "I'm sorry, but I'm feeling very dizzy. Could I rest for a moment?" Kim Solium's hand slowly reached up, and while he wasn't paying attention, he successfully stuck the soaked smiley face stickers onto him. Zhao's finger snap sounded, "Oh my, that is truly troublesome." On the TV screen, a pause cut symbol appeared. "We will take a 30-minute break." Not thinking that the youngest suggestion had actually worked, both of them thought in amazement. He interrupted the host, but he didn't get burned and managed to escape instead. He was drenched in cold sweat and silently let out a breath of relief. Success. If this had been a live broadcast, I would have died instantly, but the cameras were turned on all around. This was a recorded broadcast. The sticker from earlier had been successfully stuck under the surface of the TV. Triple smiley sticker, when stuck onto a sentient creature, it creates a mild feeling of friendliness. Alice's camping set, canned food and drinks that double the effects of items. It was a gamble on whether it would work on the host or not, but it seemed it wasn't ineffective. Zhao, still oblivious, revealed a happy, laughing icon. "I apologize, I have to go change my antenna. And could you lead Mr. Ibex to the waiting room?" The smiley face icon winked mischievously. "He promised to get me some water. Go rest and have some water." Even though he was scared to death, Kim Solium kept smiling and nodded in response. Just like that, the plan was partially successful. The recording would continue in 30 minutes. The time displayed was 00:30. "I've bought myself some time." As he turned to leave, Yoon-hae walked over and held out her fist. Now I need to come up with some countermeasure in the waiting room. She confirmed that it was just him alone, which Kim Solium understood implicitly. The waiting room in the corner. As soon as he entered the room, he leaned against the wall, sighed, and thought wearily. Even though I bought some time, 30 minutes isn't even enough time to breathe. I have to do something during this time. He held out his palm with a button sitting on it. First, the item that the deputy manager secretly gave me. Kim Solium held it up to his eyes, judging. A button that looks like something to be pressed. Is it a push button? Thinking so, he tried pressing both sides of the button with his fingers, and a light click sounded from it. Hearing that sound, Kim Solium immediately recognized the sound of a call connection. The sound echoed again, but this time from the other side. From the button came a low, calm voice, "I'm listening." The sturdy silhouette of a man appeared. "I'm Lee Ki-hun." He was startled and whispered to himself, "A communication device." On the other side, Lee Ki-hun asked, "Who is this?" "That's Deputy Manager Baek Sahyun's call button." "Who is connected to the Deputy Manager's communication device?" Kim Solium hurriedly asked, "Are you the team leader of Team D?" He received an affirmation from the man, "Yes." Kim Solium's mood calmed down a bit. "I'm out of time," and he immediately laid out the current situation as briefly as possible. "I'm Kim Solium, a new employee of Team D. I have an urgent report. In exactly 30 minutes, everyone in Team D will die." He just said it, regardless of whether it would be effective or not. The other side was silent for a moment, then a calm voice returned, "I understand. Summarize the situation for me in 5 minutes." A moment later, Kim Solium had told nearly everything that had happened. "So, if it keeps going like this, we will all die as soon as the break ends." And he received the team leader's answer, "I understand. Please try to drag out the time for another 30 minutes. He hesitated and said, "That seems impossible." Lee Ki-hun replied, "Then there's nothing more we can do." Hearing that, Kim Solium couldn't help but tremble with fear and a bit of anger. Why is he so calm? The lives of the team members are hanging by a thread. Does he think this is a joke? He tried to calm down and asked, "If I can buy another 30 minutes, is there any chance to turn the tide?" The man replied, "Yes, if we have more than 55 minutes from now, we can requisition weapons and infiltration equipment through the security team's permission. Even if we simplify all the procedures, it will take about 40 minutes. On top of that, it will take another 20 minutes to enter the corresponding darkness zone. We must complete this process to have any chance of rescuing Team D." Kim Solium's eyes widened in amazement. By using special equipment to enter the darkness, could he suppress an A-rank anomaly single-handedly? If that were feasible, he must be a well-known character. If he's at this level, then this is quite an important or memorable role. If he is truly one of the people I know, to test his suspicion, he asked carefully, "May I ask what kind of mask the team leader is wearing?" A lot of possibilities would open up. On the stage side, the conductor was waving his arms to lead the heads in singing along to the melody. "Number 2, a human, I am human," Zhao called out cheerfully, "Mr. Ibex." He asked with concern, "Are you feeling okay? Are you ready to create the most wonderful broadcast?" Kim Solium nodded, "Yes, thank you for your concern." Hearing that, he was extremely satisfied. "Oh my, you've worked very hard, Mr. Ibex." He thought to himself again, his tone is very friendly. The effect of the smiley sticker must still be working. The plan is prepared. I don't hope for anything more than that. His colleagues looked as if they had resigned themselves to their grim fate. But Kim Solium would not give up as long as the three of them could get out. A moment later, he said slowly, "Mr. MC, I have something to tell you." The host asked curiously, "Oh, so Mr. Ibex has something to say to me." While rearranging the plan in his head, Kim Solium tried to calm down. "First, I need to drag the host to my side for this plan. I hate saying these things, but I have no other choice." His tone was full of admiration. "Mr. MC, your love and dedication to this show are truly amazing." An exclamation mark appeared on the TV screen. "Are you talking about me?" Using his experience working for capitalists, Kim Solium put on a professional smile and poured out flowery compliments. Visually, the stage strikes a balance between trendy and luxurious. Its tone and style also follow a clear, consistent idea. As for the hosting, this is a variety show with real-time progression based on audience reaction. Combined with your engaging commentary, you have created a show that keeps people glued to their screens. With the flow of words as smooth as water, he couldn't help but praise himself inwardly. "My limit for flattery truly has no bounds when facing death." The happy icon beamed a radiant smile. Zhao was truly satisfied. "Oh, that's such warm praise. I'm so embarrassed I don't know what to do. Broadcasting is something we create together. You're a part of that too, Mr. Ibex." Kim Solium responded with a forced laugh. "Thank you, sir. but inwardly argued, no, that's not what I meant at all. Finally, he got to the main point, because I truly love your show, it's a pity that it's changing so drastically. This is the direction I need to aim for. Based on his own understanding, Kim Solium gave some remarks. The presence of the live band has been significantly reduced and the penalties are gone. And you're even using pre-recorded applause instead of the audience's actual reaction. It doesn't feel like the talk show I used to know anymore. He recalled the moment he gazed around the space. The waiting room was the host's private space. Its walls were plastered with talk show posters. Posters from live broadcasts during real-time audience interaction. So it feels like the whole show was remade to cut costs. What is the reason for this comprehensive change? Kim Solium looked toward the pighead character. Is it because of that guest? It's highly likely the host doesn't like this current format at all. The humming sound of electricity rang out and he only said one sentence. That's not something a participant should concern themselves with, which made him feel embarrassed. I apologize. Turning his face away, Kim Solium laughed awkwardly and babbled, honestly, I'm a huge fan of the third quiz program. I've been looking forward to appearing on that show for a long time. I think my disappointment when it was cancelled made me speak thoughtlessly. Zhao laughed. Ah, I appreciate hearing that. Placing his hand on the TV bezel, he said, however, the entertainment industry is very cruel. If the viewers prefer this format, then recognizing that and adapting quickly is also part of being an entertainer. Kim Solium turned his face and placed his hand on his chest, sincerely saying, but I prefer your previous program. The third quiz program interacted with each viewer in real time and brought stories that felt truly vivid, at least as a viewer. I like the old version much better. Your acting technique is truly world-class. No, forget it, I just got swept away by the live broadcast earlier and let my personal emotions get the better of me. The TV screen flickered with interference. With a loud announcement sound, Zhao returned to normal, only 60 seconds left until recording continues. Everyone, return to your positions. He stated the time. I've prepared enough. The head still lay intact on the plates. A number board appeared, 100, and the program continued. Memories of the previous conversation surfaced. By the way, what kind of animal is your mask? The team leader on the other side replied that it was a lizard. The light shone straight onto Park Min-seong. The MC's excited voice rang out, and now, Mr. Badger, it's finally time for your answer. His eyes dropped, the corners of his mouth turned up, forming a sad smile. Just then, Kim Solium whispered to get the other person's attention, assistant manager. He knew very well that the deputy manager was likely going to say, I don't know. Because of the terrible scene earlier, being burned was still better than becoming a human instrument reduced to a head, repeating the same words forever. But he firmly said, answer correctly. Park Min-seong frantically widened his eyes. It's still too early to give up. Zhao continued to pressure, Mr. Badger, I'll give you 3 seconds. He looked like he was struggling with his own thoughts. Finally, he gave the correct answer, number 4, burns. He shouted happily, Mr. Badger, correct. And turned to tell the conductor, now, quickly take him to the glorious choir. And turned to tell the conductor, now, quickly take him to the glorious choir. Kim Solium's words from earlier appeared. Do you mean if I use the team leader's special equipment, I can approach the inside of the ghost story? Lee Ki-hun confirmed, yes, but there are still drawbacks. However, the path created by this equipment can only send small objects through. He nodded and added, that's enough instead. Use all your strength, split the car in 2, and throw it as hard as you can. A blinding light appeared between those 2 distances. Something shot past the conductor with terrifying force. The object gradually collided with other things and fell down. It was a walkie-talkie battery. Kim Solium's eyes narrowed just as I thought. I had a hunch it would work if it were a battery. A lizard is. Even when you're trapped inside a ghost story, physical exorcism still works. A Team D employee role, nickname Lizard, former position team leader, one of the few combat specialists in the field investigation team, often recorded in the archives as a character who uses muscle power to overcome ghost stories that normally require intelligence and creativity. Isn't your brain suffering because your body lacks one? Of course, it might not be effective if we attack the commander directly, but what we are aiming for is the commander's instrument. If the commander of an A-rank ghost story is disrupted, even the host won't be able to continue. If I can disrupt the show's flow for even a moment, the host happily repeated, now, Commander, please turn our correct answerer, Mr. Badger, into a member of the choir. But when he saw the guy didn't react, he had to call out repeatedly, Commander, the contestants and the audience are waiting. But the conductor only raised his neck high, Commander. At that very moment, that thing was torn apart and the savage sound of breaking bones rang out on the stage. from the conductor's torn snout, sprayed streams of glowing red and faintly black liquid. Witnessing this horrific scene, Kim Solium tensed up, his spirit suffering a massive shock. The others were all shaking in fear at Zhao's anger. "What the hell are you doing?" He no longer maintained his manners. "What do you think you're doing?" Tearing everything apart. It's crawling up, I've done a truly terrible thing. It's absurd, I've committed a sin. Can you see it? I'm singing a wrong verdict." The whispers rang out, "This is hell, this is hell, this is hell." The blood splashed onto the TV screen with no icons. Zhao's hand raised up. You don't respect this show at all." With a single snap of his fingers, the conductor was burned by scorching flames. Kim Solium's words appeared in his mind. "Just as I thought, entertainment should never depend on flashy guests. It must always be loyal to its core values. The excitement of witnessing, the joy of being connected, the suspense of not knowing what will happen next, the anticipation while waiting for the next moment. You producers don't understand any of that. You don't deserve to create any show." Zhao stood in front of the flames and declared. Kim Solium's gaze focused on the MC. "But I." The light shone on Zhao, the talented host. "I can do it." Something is wrong. The host was supposed to only be D rank. Yet he just burned an A-rank ghost story. A pristine white handkerchief was produced. "This was not part of my plan." Zhao's voice rang out, "Mr. Ibex." He gently wiped the blood from his nose on his handsome face. "Thank you, thanks to you, I've found a new vision. You have the talent of a creator. From now on, I want to see you more often. When the next broadcast is ready, I'll be sure to invite you." But the surrounding scene changed. Team D had returned to the office. Everyone stared at each other in bewilderment. "Success, I'm alive." The two hugged the youngest of the team happily. "You're incredible, kid. You're truly a madman." His hand gripped the glass jar tightly. "I'm alive, I escaped." Yoonhae gasped in shock. "Your collection set, the golden light, it's A-rank." He stared blankly at it. You conquered an A-rank darkness after joining for only 2 days." On the day after Kim Solium survived 2 days of work, he was extremely exhausted. What are the rookie colleagues doing? On the computer screen, the words "Hello, employee Go Young-yoon" appeared. Go Young-yoon broke into a sweat, squinting and muttering to herself. Cleared 2 E-rank darknesses, got 66 points. Only 3 days? Is this result pretty good for a rookie? They say an average rookie only clears 1 or 2 per week. I'm trying my best to adapt to this crazy company. Although the seniors assigned to the team aren't exactly friendly. She sat before the computer screen, letting out a breath of relief, but at least they aren't too harsh about bullying newcomers. Go Young-yoon, with a worried expression, silently encouraged herself. The points needed to exchange for a wish ticket are a massive number of 500,000 points. It might take a lifetime to save enough, but I will do it. Afterward, she curiously wondered to herself, I wonder if other rookies feel the same way. As soon as she looked at the group chat on her phone, Go Young-yoon was briefly startled. Oh, that's right. Her train of thought immediately surfaced. We should invite Mr. Kim Solium too. Maybe I should contact him via the company's internal messaging. Suddenly, a message notification rang, surprising her. Messages took turns popping up in the group chat. The members in the group chat were chatting very excitedly. Has everyone seen the announcement just posted? Does anyone here know employee Kim Solium? He contributed to clearing an A-rank darkness. What does that mean? Do you mean that strange person wearing a horned mask? Go Young-yoon read it and felt overwhelmed. And then she gasped in astonishment. What? On the calendar, someone had marked the 5th day with a flame sticker. The moment Kim Solium was hugged by Park Min-seong and Yoon-hae appeared. Right then, Park Min-seong's voice rang out, Mr. Ibex, everyone is gossiping that you should be promoted to assistant manager immediately. Kim Solium, who was drinking recovery potion, was startled. Then he squinted and smiled, but I heard other departments opposed it because there's never been a precedent. Hearing this, he hesitated and replied, yes. While inwardly breathing a sigh of relief, thank goodness they opposed it. After escaping the 3rd TV game, they were transferred to the medical room and given emergency medication. Blood flowed from their eyes, ears, noses, and mouths. Kim Solium thought to himself, well, at least we're still alive. After escaping the 3rd TV game, they were transferred to the medical room and given emergency medication. Blood flowed from their eyes, ears, noses, and mouths. Kim Solium thought to himself, well, at least we're still alive. Then with a flushed face he exclaimed, it's truly great to be alive. Thanks, Mr. Deer. Park Min-seong enthusiastically offered, it's on me as a thank you, so eat as much as you want. Looking at the pastries spread out before him, he immediately declined, no, thank you. At the same time, Kim Solium confided to himself that, honestly, it was the dark exploration notebook doing all the heavy lifting. Yoon-hae gripped the paper in her hand with an unhappy expression. It's not like we're useless seniors, we just let our guard down because it was labeled as rank D. He listened and then calmly reminded her, Park Min-seong, that excuse sounds pretty pathetic. Radiating killing intent, she declared, then I'll prove it in the next dark zone. Looking exhausted, Kim Solium silently prayed, I wish there wasn't a next dark zone at all. Suddenly, Yoon-hae curiously asked, by the way, this incident is completely unprecedented. I wonder how it was reported to senior management. At the same time, Park Min-seong asked, could I have a glass of water? Park Min-seong, sitting opposite, answered honestly, I've asked around, but it seems no one knows. She took a sip of water and squinted as she remarked, honestly, I wish our team leader would push harder on this issue, but he's just not that kind of person. Upon hearing this, Kim Solium suggested, then why don't you promote yourself and do it yourself? Assistant team leader Yoon-hae sighed wearily, I'd quit my job before that could ever happen. Kim Solium agreed in his heart, I wish I could do that too. Suddenly, a notification sound from her phone made her look over in surprise. Then Yoon-hae announced, the team leader's meeting just ended, he's coming this way. Hearing this, he was surprised and thought to himself, am I finally going to see his face? Team leader Lee Ki-hun, one of the most famous figures of the Daydream Corporation in the Dark Exploration Notebook. The person responsible for the incredible carry with a AAA battery in the third TV game. A member of Team D, also known as the Lizard. At that moment, the door suddenly opened. Seeing this, Park Min-seong jumped up, team leader, you're back. Beside him, Kim Solium stood up in surprise. With a bit of anticipation, he thought, the true identity of the Lizard is Lee Ki-hun. As the lizard-shaped figure opened his mouth to say, hello. Kim Solium was deeply disappointed to see that, it's an actual lizard. While he was still confused, he excitedly chimed in, the rookie happens to be here waiting already. Kim Solium was sweating profusely, his face darkening as he thought, no, a human can't actually be a lizard. I must be having a mental breakdown caused by that TV-headed MC. My brain is probably just mistaking his mask for a lizard head. The mask, his eyes immediately locked onto the mask hanging at his waist. Kim Solium thought, sweating heavily, it's hanging on his belt. Just then Yoon-hae suggested, Mr. Dear, this is team leader Lee Ki-hun, say hello. With a confused expression, he asked himself, why is everyone so calm when his head is clearly that of a lizard? Park Min-seong smugly speculated. It looks like Mr. Deer was shocked by the team leader's handsomeness. He doesn't even look like he belongs to the same species as us. He shouted in his mind, someone please tell me this is a joke. Suddenly, Lee Ki-hun called out, making Kim Solium jump. Mr. Deer. Lee Ki-hun squinted and greeted him in a low voice, you can see me. That sharp gaze seemed to want to see right through him. He stuttered as he nodded, yes. Next, Kim Solium used all his emergency improvisation skills to explain, my eyes aren't injured and my eyesight is perfectly normal. He only saw Lee Ki-hun with his red, bloodshot pupils staring straight at him. Then Lee Ki-hun put his hands behind his back, I see. With his heart rate gradually slowing down, he breathed a sigh of relief and thought, good, that sounded natural. Control your expression, control your expression. Then Kim Solium fearfully reminded himself, judging by the atmosphere, it seems everyone else is seeing a perfectly normal human head. I don't know why he only looks like a reptile to me, but don't let it show. At the same time, Lee Ki-hun said sternly, now, to get to the main point, I will explain the conclusions regarding this incident. First, the trigger for this incident. The infiltration of another team. A question immediately arises, how did they end up in the same ghost story? Next, Lee Ki-hun revealed in a low voice, I heard the third TV game was allocated twice due to an administrator error. Ding Ding tapped his own head and winked self-reproachfully, come on, no wonder everything was so rushed. Team D started writing their postcards at around the same time but stepped out midway, creating a time gap of about 50 minutes. Lee Ki-hun simultaneously asked, did they stop halfway to get coffee for the rookie or something? That team is known for being unusually attentive to their members. Due to the lack of another group capable of cross-verifying the event and the relatively high initial survival rate of 43%, it cannot be convincingly proven that the Dark Zone is truly worthy of being classified as Rank A. And then Lee Ki-hun asserted, therefore the request to reclassify the third TV game as Rank A has been rejected. Yoon-hae and Park Min-seong exclaimed, what? Then the two took turns asking, are you kidding me? A whole team was wiped out. The dream-collecting solution they gathered was Rank A. Lee Ki-hun shrugged. They claim that it's still possible to extract higher-rank solutions from lower-rank dark zones in some special cases. Yoon-hae turned angrily toward the door. Fine, I'm angry now. I'll have to go talk to them myself. Park Min-seong hurriedly stopped her. Assistant team leader, wait a moment. He held back the angry Yoon-hae while turning to ask, they collected all the Rank A solutions. Is this really going to end as a rank D achievement? Lee Ki-hun immediately denied, no. Then Lee Ki-hun said, considering the unique circumstances and the fact that this expedition was equivalent to a rank A campaign, a special compensation has been approved. Hearing this, Kim Solium narrowed his eyes and thought to himself, in other words, take this and stop complaining. Lee Ki-hun continued, for the third TV game only, a one-time bonus equivalent to completing a rank A will be awarded. Each participant will receive 30,000 points. The two who were struggling froze when they heard this, and Lee Ki-hun added, and for Kim Solium, who contributed the most to the completion, he will be given an additional 10,000 points for a total of 40,000 points. Park Min-seong couldn't contain his excitement and shouted, 30,000 points! Yoon-hae whistled happily. I can actually hear my resignation day getting closer by 3 years. But then she lowered her voice sadly, but points aren't transferable. This is so awkward. Park Min-seong's sweat dropped in agreement. Seriously, you did almost everything yourself. Kim Solium hurriedly reassured them, no, it's all right. Then Kim Solium thought to himself, actually, not having an official rank a completion record is better. A lightning-fast promotion would only lead to being assigned to even more terrifying ghost stories. Never forget the warning that appeared, this is a world where you can die at any time. His train of thought continued. As for the points the others received, honestly, even if they were transferable, I don't think they would give them to me. Park Min-seong smiled expectantly. Mr. Deer, check your points right now. They were people who accepted a job with constant casualties just to accumulate points for a wish ticket. So of course they had their own goals. Yoon-hae narrowed her eyes. I showed you how to register your points last time, right? Then Kim Solium confirmed in his head. In this place, points are practically life itself. When they saw the number 40,100 on the screen, they became agitated. It had actually been transferred. Kim Solium stared blankly. A rank E completion is only worth 100 points, and unlike before, this is a 5-digit number not shared evenly among team members. I just completed 8% of the wish ticket requirement in one go. Yoon-hae and Park Min-seong exchanged glances, signaling each other. Then Yoon-hae looked at Lee Ki-hun, who seemed confused. Then she said, well, since we all survived and earned a huge amount of points. Yoon-hae, with the glowing card in her hand, raised an eyebrow. Let's go do that. Deng Deng and Ding Ding said in unison, behold the wonders of Daydream Corporation technology. On the screen was information about a new product, the Field Exploration Team's first aid kit. This is a reagent called an energy drink in the ghost story, a basic recovery medicine used after being injured, and it tastes like cough syrup. At the partner cafe, it tastes like cherry water. Inside the eatery, warm yellow lights shone through the windows. Kim Solium turned and offered, let me grill. Park Min-seong frowned. Hey, who lets a rookie hold the meat tongs at the team's first celebration? You'll have to work hard later, so eat comfortably today. Kim Solium frowned in annoyance and thought to himself, I'm not trying to be polite. Looking at Lee Ki-hun's lizard-like appearance, he screamed in fear, I just need to find somewhere else to look. But then he thought, at least this confirms that others don't see that lizard face. Kim Solium sipped his drink and closed his eyes. The atmosphere of tonight's party isn't too bad. A little alcohol also helps relieve the stress. Then he confided in his heart, lately, all my dinner parties have been about flattering clients. How long has it been since I've had such a peaceful meal? Suddenly, a voice spoke, Mr. Deer. Kim Solium looked up and replied, yes. Lee Ki-hun squinted. Are you not going to use the 40,000 points you earned this time? He was startled but immediately replied, that's right, I'm saving points to buy a wish ticket. Yoon-hae smirked. What rookie holds the meat tongs at their first celebration? Park Min-seong, sitting opposite, sweat dropped and smiled awkwardly. Hey, senior, and Lee Ki-hun nodded. I see. The conversation seemed to have reached a dead end. Kim Solium thought for a moment and asked, do you have any suggestions on how to spend points? Lee Ki-hun replied in a low voice, yes. He thought wearily, it feels like I just unlocked the lizard control panel. At the same time, text appeared. To receive an answer from the lizard, enter a command. Kim Solium squinted. What would be good to use them on? Lee Ki-hun sat opposite in silence, not saying a word. Then Lee Ki-hun said, custom equipment. He squinted and thought, I didn't expect that to be mentioned here. One of the main characteristics of Daydream Corporation employees is exclusive equipment. Even if you fall into a ghost story, you still have to go work on the webtoon by Carrot Studio. S Song Nyung, original by Baek Deoksu. As everyone knows, it is a company that throws its employees into terrifying ghost stories to harvest medicinal materials from them. This raises a question in high-level ghost stories. Won't everyone die and the company won't be able to harvest any medicinal materials? The solution to that problem is this setup. The higher your rank, the more powerful exclusive equipment you possess. And that is custom exclusive equipment. Of course, this equipment does not give you strength on par with the entities in the ghost stories. Think of it as a slight boost to special stat. But since this equipment is purely for exploring ghost stories, the details are quite vague. He only knew part of this setup. Park Min-seong walked along, happily revealing, this is an annex located right next to the company's main building. It's where we isolate and store relatively safe and useful ghost stories. For example, do you remember the radio in our office? That ghost story predicts your luck for the day. This is where we have carefully selected useful ghost stories like that. Just then, Yoon-hae turned around and added, the company calls them Twilight Class. Twilight Class, officially they are classified as Rank E ghost stories, but some are useful and stronger than Rank D or less dangerous than Rank E, so they have their own label. Lee Ki-hun said in a low voice, custom equipment can also be crafted through some Twilight-class dark abysses owned by the company. That's right, they craft it using a ghost story. He listened and pondered to himself. As far as I remember, the Twilight-class ghost stories the field investigation team uses to craft equipment are the Toymaker at the Fun Laboratory QTERWE07, the Kind Seed set QTERWE99. They perform this ritual QTERWE404. I don't know which one I will use. Kim Solium looked at the backs of Lee Ki-hun and Yoon-hae and was surprised. There he is. He was curious to see Park Min-seong beside him looking excited. Kim Solium looked at the person in front whose face was covered and wondered, is that an employee? At the same time, he stepped forward and grinned, we are Team D of the Field Investigation Team, here to train a rookie. We would like to request access to Twilight Class Dark Abyss number 99. The mysterious person didn't answer but nodded once. Just then, a loud sound came from the side door. His annoyed expression was reflected on the person's glasses. In front of him was a long hallway that seemed endless. They approached a door and a voice spoke, we're here. The sound of the iron door opening echoed throughout the space. Kim Solium stood there expressionless. He was curious and thought, in front of them is a machine called the Kind Seed set. Park Min-seong squinted and explained happily, our department has almost exclusive access to this dark abyss. If you put 2 items in, it will mix them and create a new one. Kim Solium asked, do you need points to use this? He immediately nodded. Yes, the Twilight-class dark abysses stored in this annex all require a fee to activate. Then Park Min-seong said, for this one, the cost is 1,000 points per use. Hearing the price, he was startled. Then Kim Solium hesitated. If it's equipment necessary for exploring ghost stories, shouldn't the company cover that cost? Then Kim Solium hesitated. If it's equipment necessary for exploring ghost stories, shouldn't the company cover that cost? Next, he curiously asked, so what do you want to do, Mr. Deer? He was silent and thought to himself, it hurts to burn 1,000 points like this. But team leader Lee definitely had a reason for calling it useful. If an employee with a high survival rate gives special advice, following that advice to increase the survival rate in the early stages is the right decision. Kim Solium narrowed his eyes and decided, I'll try it right now. And then Park Min-seong said happily, good. As the assistant team leader said earlier, if you put 2 items into this dark abyss, it will create a new item combining their properties. So, ideally, the materials you use should have some useful special ability. Don't worry, your items won't disappear forever. Kim Solium nodded, okay. A thought appeared in his mind at the same time. I've read all about this in the exploration diary. He raised an eyebrow and reminded him, even if you don't have any good materials right now, don't panic. Our team has a tradition where everyone lends items to help you craft your first piece of equipment, or you can pay to rent others' equipment. Suddenly, he looked toward Lee Ki-hun and made a small request. Also, team leader, your equipment is clearly the best among us. Would you mind showing it to us? Lee Ki-hun said nothing but gently reached into his coat. Lee Ki-hun took out his equipment and explained slowly, a butter knife. If I use this to cut the medium leading into the dark abyss, it will split space and allow me to transfer small objects through it. Kim Solium looked at the sharp blade and realized, so that's how you threw me the walkie-talkie battery in the 3rd TV game. Kim Solium thought to himself, if it were defensive equipment it would be great, but I don't think it is. Then he curiously asked, what about the 2 of you? Park Min-seong scratched his cheek and smiled. Mine helps me perform a few tricks. Yoon-hae raised an eyebrow. That was the button he had seen in the TV game. Kim So-lium looked at their equipment and thought, so neither of them has defensive equipment, and maybe I can find something similar to those two at the alien shop. In that case, he said sternly, I want to borrow the team leader's equipment. Only Lee Ki-hun's butter knife was placed on the kind seed set. Kim So-lium stared at it intently without looking away for even a second. And then Yoon-hae said, now you just need to choose the items you want to put in. But then she reminded him sternly, just absolutely never put a real plant in. The sensor at the door will filter them out anyway, but it's better to be careful. Kim So-lium thought to himself, thinking about it, all the weeds around here are fake plastic plants. He frowned with a pale face and realized, I remember now. In the Dark Abyss Exploration Diary, Ghost Story, Kind Seed Set, Tool Editing section. Employee A pulled a weed growing near the Dark Abyss that was supposed to be a dandelion and put it into the device twice. The result was that a heteromorph lunged out with a terrifying scream. Security forces took 7 days to contain it. All 3 people at the scene, including Employee A, were confirmed dead. All plants have been eradicated. Note, repeat offenders will be disciplined and fired. That's right, it was that diary. Lee Ki-hun walked over slowly and pointed to the remaining slot. We usually put inconvenient everyday items, but supernatural properties may only be passed on faintly or not at all. I accept that risk. At the same time, Kim So-lium reached into his pants pocket to search for something. I've been mentally reviewing my entire inventory since we got here. A thought appeared in his mind. I'm carrying quite a few supernatural items. The classification smile sticker, the highest ranked item among them would be. Kim So-lium took out the silver serpent coin bought from the Universe Shopping Center and asserted, I want to use this. Lee Ki-hun was curious when he saw it. And what is that? He gripped the coin tightly and grinned. Just a souvenir from a trip, I just have a good feeling about it. Yoon-hae looked at it and nodded. It's easy to carry and it looks pretty sturdy. Kim So-lium felt beads of sweat forming as he anxiously wondered to himself if the lizard would realize that it was an item. But then he reconsidered, thinking that this world was filled with ghost stories, so carrying around 1 or 2 small supernatural items wasn't really a big deal. Just tell them I have no idea what it is. After he inserted the coin, a red light emanated from the kind seed kit. A warning message immediately appeared. Do not insert hands. Please provide the caregiver's information. Kim So-lium thought to himself that this was exactly why it was called homemade equipment. As it was like asking someone to take care of a plant. It scanned the owner's genetic information. After a moment, it finished the scan, merging genetic data, creating toolkit. A stream of blue light emitted from the kind seed kit, causing Kim So-lium to instinctively squint one eye. A notification sound signaling completion rang out, and at the same time, Lee Ki-hun gently remarked, congratulations on your first piece of homemade equipment. Vice Leader Yoon-hae looked at Kim So-lium and sternly reminded him, remember to test your new weapon when you get home. It's easy to forget, but we are currently still in a ghost story. Then she tilted her head and smiled. You worked hard today, rookie. You must be exhausted, so make sure to get some rest and see you tomorrow. Scene changed, the sound of the door closing echoed. He sat down on the chair, reaching into his pocket as he replied in a low voice, yes, ma'am. 2 items were used during the seed kit's genetic combination process. One was team leader Lee Ki-hun's butter knife, and the other was a silver copper snake purchased from the Otherworld shop, which was used as the parent plant. The homemade weapon created by combining those 2 items was. Kim So-lium looked at the weapon coin in his hand and frowned, wondering to himself, but how am I supposed to use this thing? Did the gacha fail and spit out a toy coin or something? He flipped the coin over and squinted, thinking I knew it. Then Kim So-lium calmly tossed it up. If it's a coin, maybe I should use it like this. He watched as the weapon coin flipped in midair, and just then, an invisible hand emerged from one side of it. The hand from the weapon coin, seeming to reach out toward him. Kim So-lium witnessed this bizarre scene and broke into a sweat, asking himself internally, what on earth is this? The hand wrote a line of text in midair and he was startled, wondering, load coin. Would using a 101 coin work, I wonder? At the same time, a notification appeared, 101 donation from Kim So-lium. The hand contemptuously flicked the coin away, causing Kim So-lium to sigh in his head. That didn't work. Next, he spoke up, then let me try a 501 coin. Seeing the hand happily snatch it, he immediately realized it was all about the denomination. Suddenly, the hand lunged forward, making Kim Solium break into a sweat in surprise. He saw it gently place itself on his left hand. Kim Solium was a bit dazed, telling himself, "It sank into my hand and fused with it." Then he glanced at the black thing on the floor and hesitated, thinking, and there's this strange sensation too. At the same time, Kim Solium moved his hand slightly, and the black hand on the ground moved along with it. He witnessed this bizarre scene and stood there blankly. And then Kim Solium pursed his lips, looked down, and thought, is this the ability of this piece of homemade equipment? It moves with my hand, I guess I can call it a third hand. If that was the case then, an image of a pen busily writing appeared. Before his eyes was the scene of him sitting at a distance, making hand gestures as if he were writing. Kim Solium put the pen down and wondered to himself, the strength and precision are almost identical to my actual hand. Could I use it to write? Then a series of thoughts appeared, opening and closing doors and even using force to pry open a box lid. The operating range seems to be about 3 meters. I could even turn off the lights without stepping out of bed. He looked at that black hand and spoke softly. The duration seems to be about 5 seconds. Next, Kim Solium pondered to himself that it was different from team leader Lee Ki-hun's butter knife, as it crossed the spatial boundary between reality and darkness. But in return, it seemed much easier to use while in ghost stories. At least I wouldn't have to touch suspicious objects with my bare hands anymore. And then he triumphantly affirmed this gacha was a success. Kim Solium leaned back onto the bed and reminded himself, if 501 gets me 5 seconds of telekinetic object manipulation, that's quite a bargain. I'd better work hard to make the 1,000 points I invested worth it. In a drowsy state, he continued his train of thought. My physical condition is surprisingly good, probably because everything ended so smoothly. At least I was lucky to meet good people around me. Senior Park Min-seong, who didn't do anything reckless even when facing imminent death. Vice Leader Yoon-hae, who trusted a rookie and lent me her equipment at a decisive moment. If it weren't for her trust, I never would have received help from Team Leader Lee Ki-hun. I don't know how many more ghost stories I'll have to overcome in the future, but strangely, I feel like I can handle it. Kim Solium closed his eyes and whispered to himself, maybe I should just silently endure this. After all, that's just what I used to think. Scene changed to the next morning. Yoon-hae, with a cup of coffee in her hand, broke into a sweat as she spoke. Rookie. It seems like our mission is about to change. He was a bit bewildered, not understanding what was happening. Pardon. On the computer screen, Deng Deng and Ding Ding were taking turns sending happy laughing stickers. A mission change usually refers to a change in responsibilities or a department reassignment within a company, which starts happening when your years of service reach the annual threshold. In other words, Kim Solium was sweating profusely and looking pale as he reminded himself, I don't think this is something you should tell me on my 3rd day of work. She sat across from him and replied with a frown, I know, kid. Then Yoon-hae asked, have you seen the official notice? It was just posted today. He was dazed and asked himself, official notice? Q-Turwadi 43. Q-Turwadi 43 is the identification code for the 3rd game show. To put it simply, Ding Ding raised both thumbs and happily said, there's a team that solved a special incident and grabbed an A rank. Impressive achievement, we'd like to reward that team with 100,000 points. Deng Deng excitedly continued, hey, see that, you guys can do it too. So just throw yourselves into the jaws of death like moths to a flame, go ahead and dive into ghost stories to earn points. If you want a wish ticket, learn from Team D. Kim Solium looked at the text on his phone and yelled in his heart, this is absolutely insane. He broke into a sweat and frowned, thinking, they've even exposed our identities. If this mission change is happening because of this announcement, what kind of work will it be? Yoon-hae looked unhappy and asked with a grimace, did you see? I'm asking you if you've seen it yet. He hesitated and replied, yes. Next, Kim Solium cautiously probed, by mission change, do you mean we're transferring departments? Our whole team is being transferred? Park Min-seong slumped his head against the wall in disappointment and she sighed tiredly, it's not exactly a new mission. Yoon-hae frowned and took a large sip of coffee. Our workload is just changing a little bit. Then she continued, up until now, we've mainly been going into ghost stories that already had complete guidebooks. Yoon-hae tore the paper in her hand and narrowed her eyes as she declared, the abysses we're about to enter from now on won't have any guidebooks. And then she sternly affirmed, it means they're pushing us into brand new ghost stories without any information. Kim Solium just sat there silently watching the scraps of paper fall without saying a word. Yoon-hae didn't stop but continued to grumble, honestly, it's ridiculous. The better you do at something, the harder they make you work. It's all decisions from people sitting at desks typing away in offices. At the same time, footsteps approached. Lee Ki-hun entered and opened with, "Hello." Seeing that, she immediately shouted, "Boss, have you seen the notice? They're making us go into abysses without guidebooks. Isn't that just telling us to go die?" Lee Ki-hun tilted his head with a puzzled look. "No." The two of them heard this answer and simultaneously questioned in their minds, "What? Is there really some loophole?" Suddenly, Lee Ki-hun lowered his voice. "People still die even in ghost stories that have complete guidebooks." They heard this and dejectedly wondered to themselves, "Is that so?" Then he cautiously asked, "But isn't it still more dangerous without a guidebook?" Lee Ki-hun shrugged and replied, "I don't think it makes much of a difference." Kim Solium thought to himself, this is exactly why those employees who wipe out ghost stories with pure strength just ask directly. Next, he narrowed his eyes and probed, "Are there any benefits to this mission change?" Lee Ki-hun nodded immediately. "Yes, there will be bonus points." Park Min-seong and Yoon-hae heard this and immediately lifted their heads. He hurried over and asked, "A lot, boss?" Lee Ki-hun calmly nodded, "A lot." And then Lee Ki-hun revealed, compared to an abyss of the same level, it's worth 3 to 4 times more. The maximum multiplier can go up to 15 times. The two of them, their eyes blinded by the massive points, started discussing 15 times, even if it's an E rank if you multiply it by 15 then. Kim Solium saw their state and helplessly thought to himself, their eyes look like those of gamblers, should I stop them? But then he slightly furrowed his brow and analyzed, wait a minute, calling it gambling? To me, this is a sure win bet, because even without a guidebook I still have the exploration documents on the encyclopedia. In that case, isn't this basically a triple point event? Yoon-hae led the way and sternly signaled, "Let's go." The thought simultaneously appeared, "Let's go earn some points." The number on the screen showed 17. She announced at the same time, "First, we're going up to the 17th floor. From the 17th to the 20th floors, it's mainly used by the development headquarters. More specifically, the 17th floor is the place where researchers searching for new abysses work." One of the people there saw them coming and exclaimed in surprise. That person looked at Kim Solium and curiously asked, "Is this the famous rookie everyone has been talking about lately?" Kim Solium appeared calm on the outside, but inside he was crying tears of joy. "Am I being treated like a celebrity now? For some reason I feel like." He saw that person extend their hand, and he hesitated, thinking the mission this time wouldn't be easy either. He saw Jekang in front of him slightly curl his lips into a smile. Jekang, with a smile on his face, reached his hand out toward Kim Solium. He looked with a probing gaze and asked himself, "Who is this?" He didn't say anything but kept a hospitable smile on his face. Then Quack Jekang happily introduced himself. "I'm Quack Jekang from the first research team. It's a pleasure to meet you." Kim Solium broke into a slight sweat and thought to himself, "Quack Jekang?" Kim Solium replied on the outside, "Yes, it's nice to meet you. I'm Kim Solium." The man saw him shaking his hand and exclaimed in surprise, "You're quite polite, aren't you?" After Quack Jekang left, Yoon-hae contemptuously whispered to Kim Solium, "Don't let him scare you. He's just a low-level manager." Kim Solium was confused and wondered, "But aren't you also a vice leader?" Next, he furrowed his brow and thought, "No, what surprises me isn't that this person is a manager." Suddenly, he turned back and looked over with a smile. Kim Solium continued his train of thought, "But that another famous character has appeared." Then Jekang happily waved hello, a rare case described as clearly happy and sociable among the staff. Although that was true, he watched the retreating back and muttered to himself, "I'll just pretend I don't know anything for now." Jekang turned with excitement and smiled, "We'll be seeing each other often from now on. Come on, team leader Lee Ki-hun." While he looked puzzled, Lee Ki-hun softly replied, "Yes." Suddenly, text appeared to receive an answer from the lizard, "Please enter a command." At the same time, Kim Solium curiously asked, "Could you tell us the reason?" Lee Ki-hun calmly answered, "Sure." He heard this and made a confused face. Next, Jekang explained in a low voice, "Here at Research Team 1, we study methods for entering new dark anomalies. And discovering new dark anomalies is Team D's adjusted mission. Once Team D completes the discovery of a new darkness and reports it back, an exploration guide will be created based on that information." Kim Solium heard this and pursed his lips, telling himself, "In other words, this is the team that assigns us work." Right at that moment, Jekang happily spoke up, "All right then. Welcome the members of Team D to the research team. Everyone, please go grab your Dream Mist collection devices. He tossed a folder to Lee Ki-hun and instructed him to check the civilian escape records and also the records of the team that entered before you all. Yoon-hae, with a grumpy face, gritted her teeth internally. That jerk isn't even on the field investigation team, so why is he spouting obvious things and showing off? Park Min-seong saw that and frantically whispered a reminder. Senior, your expression, the expression. Suddenly, a voice from behind made him glance over in surprise. Excuse me, sorry to bother you. Lee Jai pointed at Kim Solium and grinned. Would you like to bet on what rank it will be? He looked confused. Pardon? The man happily explained. I mean about the new darkness. We usually make small bets with each other and try to guess. You should try it too, it'll be fun. Kim Solium didn't hesitate and immediately refused. No, thank you. At the same time, he thought to himself, what if we get inspected? No, didn't our direct superior see that and stop it? Right then, Jekang happily laughed. A little betting won't kill anyone, why so tense? Kim Solium witnessed this and was bewildered, asking himself, but this is still a workplace, isn't he going too far? He looked at Kim Solium's expression and remarked in surprise, look at his face, it didn't even flinch, he's got guts, Kim Solium. Next, Jekang calmly sat down in his chair. I'm just joking, I'm just joking. He looked at the document in his hand and smiled. This darkness isn't a life or death place. Many civilians have already gone in and escaped. The Disaster Management Bureau keeps trying to close it. I heard the guys on the planning team had a hard time covering this up. At the same time, Park Min-seong suggested, come on, ho-ho, you check the files too. He reached out to receive the documents with indifference. Yes. A line of thought appeared in his head. The important thing right now is the new darkness that we are about to enter. That's right, the important thing is that if this darkness has many civilian escape records, then even in the worst case scenario, it's only around D rank, so there's no need to worry. Suddenly, Kim Solium broke into a cold sweat and squinted as he thought, YouTube, huh? At the same time, Jekang played a video and suggested, if you're ready, please watch this. On the screen was a clown dancing to strange music. He saw the clown suddenly bare his teeth and flash a creepy smile. The clown, with an amused expression, couldn't help but burst into loud laughter. Right at that moment, Kim Solium felt as if red hands were clutching at him. They seemed to want to drag him down. He thought to himself, this ghost story is definitely. Right then, Jekang took off his blindfold and exclaimed with admiration. Then he giggled, have a safe trip. He heard that and panicked, yelling in his heart, hey, wait a minute. Please cancel the triple point event, I don't want to go in there. The scary face of the clown appeared. The clowns hate you. In the frame was the grotesque face of a clown. A ghost story appearing in the ghost story universe. Kim Solium was so scared he squeezed his eyes shut. Then he broke into a sweat and cautiously opened his eye. A ghost story where you will wander forever in an endless hallway, hanging with various clown portraits. If you look closely, it's not real clown makeup, but the forced, twisted smiles of people who have been bizarrely contorted to look like clowns. The longer you stay, the more twisted and bizarre the appearing portraits become. People who go missing in this ghost story will become new clown portraits. Honestly speaking, a horror movie or amusement park with this level of fear is rare. Kim Solium showed no emotion on the outside, but inside he was complaining, I don't need those things, just the way of entering alone was enough to scare me to death. Honestly, anyone who comes here would be scared, it's not just me. At the same time, Yoon-hae squinted and remarked, this place isn't as dark as I thought, it looks pretty okay. He heard that and couldn't help but be startled. At the same time, Park Min-seong excitedly suggested, Vice Leader, should we adapt to the darkness for a while before moving? Lee Ki-hun calmly suggested, sure, please close your eyes for 60 seconds. He happily replied, understood, Team Leader, 60 seconds. Kim Solium was dazed and asked himself, wait, are they serious? In a hallway full of creepy portraits, can they really suggest closing their eyes together for a minute, while we don't even know what could happen? Yoon-hae turned and suggested, ho-ho, let's close our eyes for a bit too. He obeyed while guessing in his heart, I guess they can. These people, and the lizard too, basically don't know what fear is. The type of person whose adrenaline won't spike unless they fall into a situation where they could actually lose their life. The type of person who never watches horror movies because they find them too boring. But what if those portraits start moving as if they were still alive? Wouldn't it be hard to stay calm then? She looked at the paper in her hand and calmly revealed, they say if you poke at the portraits, they will jump out and crawl after you. Park Min-seong continued, and I heard some civilians have returned through empty picture frames. Lee Ki-hun calmly nodded, I understand. Then Lee Ki-hun sternly signaled, poke every single portrait you see. Hearing this, Kim So-lium felt like he was struck by lightning while Park Min-seong replied with excitement, "On it, team leader, if anything jumps out I'll signal and start running immediately." Next, Lee Ki-hun suggested in a low voice, "All right, we will repeat the testing cycles once every hour." Park Min-seong obediently replied, "Got it, team leader." Yoon-hae looked around and calmly reassured them. "They said those things crawl on all fours, right? Then they must be slow, so we should be just fine." Park Min-seong happily turned around with a grin. "Mr. Deer, do you see that clown with the bizarre eyes up there? It looks exactly like a movie poster, doesn't it?" Kim So-lium, who currently had his eyes closed, suddenly froze while she softly suggested, "You can open your eyes now, take a look." Fire burst forth right from the eyes of the clown portraits. While he was frozen in fear, she spoke casually, "The physical features match those of a missing civilian. I guess if you go missing here, you turn into that thing." Suddenly, Park Min-seong calmly turned and suggested, "Mr. Deer, do you want to try touching that portrait first?" Kim So-lium was silent for a moment and then requested in a low voice, "Please wait a moment." Then he raised his eyebrows and asserted, "I've found the way to get out of here." Hearing this, the three of them instinctively froze for a few seconds, and then Park Min-seong asked blankly, "What? We've been in here for less than 5 minutes." With his absolute rule of never looking back, he frowned and thought to himself, "This is the only way a coward like me can survive. Let's go, let's speedrun this and get out of here." Kim So-lium stared intently at the weapon coin in his hand. Then he forcefully flipped it into the air, and immediately a hand appeared, waving hello. Yoon-hae looked at it and asked dubiously, "Is that equipment only for a deer?" He nodded calmly, "Yes, though we are going to need a few more things." Next, Kim So-lium took countless other 501 coins out of his coat pocket. Seeing those coins, the hand of the weapon could not hide its excitement, and it delightfully tapped his left hand gently. Next, Kim So-lium explained in a low voice, "This hand is an effect of the custom weapon. If you insert a coin, you can control it remotely." Hearing this, she gasped in admiration, "I see." At the same time, Park Min-seong leaned forward and asked, "So that hand is what's necessary for the strategy you came up with, Mr. Deer?" He immediately nodded, "Yes." And then Kim So-lium asserted sternly, "We don't have much time, so I'll give you a quick summary first. First of all, these portraits aren't just for decoration, there is exactly one correct portrait among them." He asked dubiously, "Do you mean the ones that jump out and crawl toward us when stabbed are the wrong ones?" Kim So-lium answered, "Exactly." He looked toward the three of them and sternly instructed, "From now on, consider the portrait I describe as the correct one. When I signal, let's all run and find the portrait that matches that description." Next, Kim So-lium looked toward Lee Ki-hun, "Team leader, are you really okay with this?" Kim So-lium desperately pleaded in his heart, "Please, please work." Lee Ki-hun nodded immediately without hesitation, "Yeah." He was a bit surprised and thought to himself, "A generous lizard who listens to a rookie right away. Thank you so much." Park Min-seong stretched for a bit and said, "It doesn't hurt to follow the deer's lead. It's been a while since I got a real workout trying to keep up with you." At the same time, Kim So-lium thought, sweating heavily, "I'm sorry, seniors, but actually you guys don't even need to run. Escaping this urban legend is surprisingly easy. If you have the guts, you can just take a stroll and touch the portraits along the way. But a coward like him couldn't do that." The clown explained blankly, "I just wanted to get along with them." Yoon-hae asked in confusion, "Why are you lying down there?" Park Min-seong was also confused by the sight. Just a moment ago he was completely fine, and then suddenly he dropped dead. With a sharp gaze, he frowned and thought to himself, "Our only choice is to run away as fast as possible." The time elapsed since Team D entered the dark zone was 4 minutes and 29 seconds. Kim So-lium urgently shouted in his mind, "Let's go, haunted house." At the same time in the development room, Lee Jai asked curiously, "Manager Quack, what level do you think it is this time? Is Team D still the safest bet?" Hearing this, Jekang laughed, "Come on, Assistant Manager Lee, let's keep this bet internal to the development room." Then he warned sternly, "Don't mention it when other teams are around." Hearing that, his face darkened and he hesitated, "Right." Lee Jai looked at Jekang and frowned, thinking, usually he just laughs and plays along, so why is he choosing now to remind me? He completely ruined my mood. No, wait, the one who really ruined my mood is someone else. That annoying rookie over on the field investigation team. His name is Kim So-lium, right? I was nice enough to invite him to join the bet, yet he dared to ignore his own boss. Lee Jai aggressively typed on his keyboard and cursed under his breath, "Just a human guinea pig, who does he think he is to act so smug?" His message appeared on the screen, "I put 10 on D," while he smugly prayed in his heart, hoping he would die in the dark zone this time. Suddenly Jeking cheerfully reminded him, Assistant Manager Lee, remember to finish the preliminary report before leaving today. Li Jai pouted and replied, yeah. A thought appeared in his mind at the same time, why do they always make me do these things? Anyway, there's no way those guys are getting out before clock-out time. He looked at the screen and sneered scornfully, what a bunch of idiots. If an ad looks suspicious, you should close it immediately, so why do they keep watching it? Next, Li Jai squinted and thought to himself, I guess a few lucky people have survived and made it out. According to previous reports from surviving civilians, they returned to reality through an empty portrait that the clown had escaped from. However, there is no information on which portrait is the correct one. The appearance of the hallway, the size of the portraits, the frames, the testimony of every single survivor is completely different. So, if you want to find the exit, the only way is to keep trying repeatedly. Waking the clown, losing him, and sometimes destroying him, until you are completely exhausted. He smugly smirked and thought to himself, since they don't know which portrait is the correct one, they'll just run around in circles hopelessly, sweating bullets. At this rate, at least one or two of them are bound to drop dead, just drop dead already. While Li Jai was in the middle of his thoughts, Park Min-seong's astonished voice rang out, clear. Hearing that, he turned his head back in shock and wondered, wait, what? What? How could this happen? Has that much time passed already? Is it time to go home? At the same time, Yoon-hae suggested, that was amazing, dear, let me buy you coffee. Kim Solium hurriedly declined, no, thank you, you don't have to. Beside him, Park Min-seong laughed happily, I'll buy you snacks. Li Jai thought in shock, it's only been 26 minutes. They cleared the dark zone and made it out in less than 30 minutes. Witnessing this, Jekang couldn't contain his excitement. Oh my god, how the hell did they get out so early? Did Team Leader Lee's usual method of smashing everything work again? Lee Ki-hun calmly denied, no, she proudly revealed, our youngest did it all. Looking exhausted, Kim Solium reached up and took off his mask. Glad to see you again. He exclaimed in surprise, that rookie did what? Yoon-hae spoke casually, the dear was just like this on his first day of work too. Hearing this, Jeking narrowed his eyes evaluatively. Then he inquired, so, would our new friend mind explaining the clear mechanism? Kim Solium replied with slight surprise, sure. First of all, the title of the ad watch to enter this dark zone is The Clown Hates You. He immediately nodded, yes. He continued, but a Pierrot mime is different from a circus clown in Korea. This is a blind spot because both are simply translated as clown. He continued, but a Pierrot mime is different from a circus clown in Korea. This is a blind spot because both are simply translated as clown. However, a Pierrot mime is a French style of clown with monochromatic makeup and a melancholy face. And then Kim Solium sternly asserted, the name of this dark zone is the clue itself. Therefore, I thought he would be the only one who wouldn't chase us. To prove this theory, we searched for a portrait with monochromatic makeup. To ensure safety, we maintained a safe distance of 3 meters and touched the painting from afar. As a result, the Pierrot quietly disappeared from the painting. After recounting everything, he appeared calm. That's all there is to it. With a face that couldn't hide his excitement, Jekang smirked and thought to himself, within just 30 minutes on his very first time stepping inside, he actually figured out such a clear mechanism. Suddenly he blurted out in surprise, wait. Then Jekang questioned, according to the records, turning on the lights will cause all the clowns to jump out. How did you distinguish the portrait of the Pierrot in that pitch-black place? Kim Solium hesitated in slight surprise as he explained, well, team leader Lee Ki-hun recognized it easily anyway. He calmly continued, Assistant Manager Park Min-seong lent me his notebook so I put together a temporary guide. Park Min-seong spoke up happily, I can't take the credit for this, it was all you, dear. With a smile on his face, Jekang reached out to take the document. Flipping through the pages in his hand, he said, so you deduced all of this just from the preliminary information. Thanks to you, the draft of the guide was completed instantly. Li Jai thought to himself in sheer terror, does this make any sense? That rookie escaped within 30 minutes under such harsh conditions. Yet he's already formulated a complete theory. Is that thing even human, or is it some kind of monster pretending to be human? He smirked and reminded him, team leader, if you brought that thing out from the dark zone, you have to hand it over. Jekang looked at the object in his hand in surprise. It was. Kim Solium casually explained, since the Pierrot in the portrait was trying to run away, the team leader charged straight at him. He was backing away too. He was dumbfounded at this point, thinking to himself, are they a pair of monsters or something? At the same time, Kim Solium wondered in his mind, now that I look closely, both of them are quite handsome and actually look a bit alike. Are they cousins or something? Suddenly, Jekang asked, Kim Solium, the new employee, did you happen to receive a business card? He thought curiously, a business card? Someone immediately explained, he's a new employee so he doesn't have a business card yet. Suddenly, he smirked with a mysterious smile. Mr. Kim Solium, you're quite good at playing dumb, aren't you? Obviously, I was talking about something else. Solium glanced back at Jekang, a look of skepticism flashing in his eyes. Isn't that mine? Then he suddenly remembered the note tucked into his pocket earlier. The business card. I knew about this when I joined. How did this person know about that? Jekang didn't seem to notice Solium's curiosity, continuing to remind him, contact that number if you want to earn points faster. However, Solium wasn't in a hurry to agree. He just said, I'm fine. Jekang smiled. Oh, really? What reason could you possibly have for adamantly refusing to contact them? Once out of earshot, Solium turned away and wore a look of utter weariness. He couldn't help but think, because I'm terrified, that's why. Isn't it obvious? I don't even need to look to know they'd say they're helping me earn points faster, only to throw me straight into some high-level ghost stories. Just imagining it makes me feel mentally drained. Another source of insomnia. Anyway, for now, just clearing low-level dark zones is enough to triple my points, so I'll pass on any events more terrifying than this. I definitely need to take full advantage of this lucrative opportunity. After all, I've got the Ghost Story Wiki. Honestly, this bizarre company is worth working for. After Solium's group returned to the assembly hall, a congratulatory announcement rang out. Team D has completed the conquest of the new dark zone. Completion time, 1 hour and 15 minutes. Hearing this, whispers broke out. I heard they cleared it in just over an hour again. What time is this? Team D is almost done writing all the guidebooks. On his side, Yoonhae turned and said, thanks to the deer, we've conquered dark zones 12 times in just 1 month. Solium declined, it's nothing. It's all thanks to how well the seniors have led the way. Led the way, we're clearly being carried on your back. Minseong happily chimed in, for real, I've already earned 5,000 points. A month has flown by since I started working at Daydream Corporation. Earning money by speed-clearing low-level ghost stories has been going very smoothly. Yoonhae and Minseong chatted happily. Maybe the deer is the fastest rookie in the company's history, truly impressive. Listening to them, Solium thought to himself, a rookie? Come to think of it, because I work with the research team, I've never met other colleagues from the same intake. The only person I interact with regularly is Beek Sahian. He keeps provoking me to maintain that crazy guy image. While Solium was still thinking, Yoonhae reminded him to sit down and brought up a topic. You know your performance has been outstanding lately, right? At this rate, the higher-ups must be keeping an eye on you. If you happen to receive any signing offers, make sure to let us know. We might not be able to do much, but the team leader will definitely back you up at least once. Outwardly, Solium nodded in agreement, but inwardly he didn't feel too surprised. Being noticed was inevitable. Furthermore, the other side had already made contact. I'll have to handle this level of difficulty on my own. But fortunately, as per the customs of large corporations, they wouldn't entrust a task too heavy to a rookie like me. Surely there won't be anything harder than this from now on. In another development, Lee Jai, after witnessing the performance of Solium's group, gritted his teeth. They escaped in under an hour again. Meanwhile, some of us are breaking our backs researching just to earn 500 points. Just then, Jekang's voice rang out. Research isn't eligible for danger pay, so you feel it's unfair, right? Isn't that so, Supervisor Lee? Hearing this, Lee Jai startled and turned around. Jekang continued to explain, Supervisor Lee, I heard this dark zone requires a lot of people. Is that right? Lee Jai nodded, explaining that it required 10 people. Jekang said this was teamwork. Then he took out pen and paper and circled the teams that needed to go. Let's see, so the teams that have to go will be Team A, Team D, and Team Y. Oh my, this is getting a bit tight, isn't it? When Lee Jai asked why, Jekang continued, lately, the future of Team D seems very bright, and yet they have to go in there with Team A. Hearing that, Lee Jai was slightly confused. Isn't Team A an elite team? What's the problem with going in together? Seeing this, Jekang offered a reminder. Hey Supervisor Lee, did you forget? You know perfectly well what our company is like. No matter what company it is, it's all the same. You know, don't you? There are some things that require sacrifice. Hearing this, Lee Jai understood and cracked a cunning smile. Ah, so that's how it is. Hearing you say that, it really is true. Time passed quickly. Scene shift to the meeting room. At this point, the group selected for the mission had been called in, which of course included Solium's group. Entering the meeting room, Solium was a bit surprised to see so many people. Are we heading in with other teams today? Yoonhae nodded. Looks like it. At that moment, a sudden sound rang out. Oh my. Are you Kim Solium, the employee from those rumors? Solium glanced at him and replied, yes, hello. The blonde man smirked, truly a young man with a bright future. If there's an opportunity, let's meet and talk a bit sometime. After he turned away, Yoonhae warned, do you see the employee wearing the mask with the gold symbol over there? Look closely. Those are members of Team A. Then Yoonhae glanced in another direction and continued. And the one wearing the mask without a gold symbol is Team Y. Behind them, Minseong whispered to Solium, hey dear. The Team Y leader isn't a department head, just a regular employee. Just treat Team Y normally. Solium turned to look at the long-haired man and wondered to himself, can that person save the dead at the new employee welcome party? I vaguely guessed the reason though. Minseong looked confused. If you're curious, I'll explain later, so for now. Before he could finish, Solium nodded in understanding. This made Minseong feel even happier. My dear is obedient and listens, and he's like a faster version of the department head. Back to Jekang, after everyone had arrived, he clapped his hands to speak. All right, everyone take your seats. Now for the explanation about the dark zone we'll be entering today. But honestly, I don't have much information to provide you all regarding this one. Hearing that, the blonde man mocked. What do you mean, Manager Quack? Are you saying even the research team knows nothing? The people from Team Y started to become anxious. Yoonhae sighed in disappointment. Minseong just signaled him to be quiet. Solium just watched silently, saying nothing. Then Jekang suddenly smiled and delivered a terrifying piece of information. Because there is only one case of a civilian escaping from it. The required number of people to enter is 10 or more. I will now begin the report on this large-scale dark zone. What is the fate of the 12 club members who went missing during their camping trip? During a picnic at Homestay Hanmyeom Gajuk in Gajuk Province, a group of 12 college students completely vanished while playing board games. It was a dice game known as Fun Amusement Park. This product is said to have been designed and developed by the Fun Research Department. According to survivors, the game set was already prepared at the lodging. However, the homestay owner denied this. After 17 hours, a few victims found their way back. Specific data: 4 survivors, 1 still missing, 7 deceased. The lucky survivors claimed they were pulled into an amusement park located inside the game. They all exhibited various signs of instability such as rambling, trauma, and mild nervous breakdown. Solium looked at the report and thought silently, finally, this thing is showing its face. On the side, Jekang was still smiling as if nothing happened. No matter how bad the current situation is, the research team will find a way to infiltrate it. Saying that, he tapped a box on the table, pulled out a ball from inside and continued. All right, everyone open this draw ball and see. Everyone is grouped by the color of the chess piece inside the ball. There will be a total of 3 different colors. Solium glanced at Yoonhae, feeling slightly annoyed. Another new team split. That means everyone here will be shuffled around. Not thinking much, he quickly opened the ball. Inside lay a red chess piece. Why did I draw a red chess piece? In the context of anomalous phenomena, colors aren't usually very important, but in this bizarre world, colors are omens of misfortune. I felt extremely anxious. Unaware of his internal thoughts, Jekang saw that everyone had opened their balls and said, everyone has received their draw, right? Now just flip this chessboard over and we will all step into the dark zone. At that moment, the game table began to emit a blinding light. But a few seconds later, everyone remained in the room with nothing having changed, leaving everyone with a question mark over their heads. Solium immediately noticed something unusual. Wait a moment, the other color groups all have 4 members. But if I include myself, the red group only has 3 people. The big guy with the snake tattoo seemed to notice this too. Like this, an 11-person team won't be able to trigger the entry. We must gather enough people as recorded in the civilian documents to have a chance to try again. Answering that, Jekang took out another ball. This problem, it's simple enough to solve. As he spoke, he threw the ball to Li Jai. Li Jai startled and hurriedly caught it, and a red chess piece fell out from inside. At that moment, everyone in the room turned to look at Li Jai. As for Li Jai himself, his face turned as pale as if he were constipated. However, before he could react, the game had officially activated. Everyone in the room began to be sucked into a vortex, making the whole group feel extremely carsick. Only Jekang felt refreshed. Haha, I wish you all a very fun trip. Looking at his face, Solium silently cursed this guy in his heart. That bastard. He is researcher Quack Jekang, a psychopath obsessed with bizarre stories, a mad scientist. He has a twisted habit of intentionally setting up situations or actions that lead to certain death solely to collect anomalous data. Scene shift to inside the park. At this moment, Lee Jai couldn't hold back his tears. Before their eyes was a massive amusement park, with balloons floating everywhere. The group with Solium took the opportunity to observe their surroundings. Music began to play. The protagonist thought, fun amusement park. With such large staff scale, it even has the service of Team A, the elite force. But the cooperative teams this time don't have any special forces, just Team Y and Team D. And to make matters worse, the researcher assigned to reinforce us has absolutely zero practical combat experience. The goal of this survey isn't to try to keep as many people alive as possible. This is clearly a trap designed to exterminate everyone except Team A. Then Solium started looking at his wrist, where there was a red bracelet. Just as expected, it really existed here. He remembered what was recorded in the survey report on the bizarre structure of the Dark Zone. Fun amusement park. Related mystery appears in the dark space exploration files stored by Daydream Corporation under identifier QTRWB11. The space inside the board game is built on the background of different wonderlands. Once pulled into this bizarre story, participants must overcome 3 major games to find the way home. Victims who played this card set while delirious wrote an appendix titled Fun Amusement Park User Manual. And this is exactly what made this location even more haunting. This bizarre phenomenon is categorized as a rank B dark zone, and the survival rate for ordinary people is 2%. Perhaps those lucky enough to return only owe it to guardian luck. In this situation, it seems the lives of the members of Team D will also face great danger. Just as Solium was reflecting, Lee Jai's agonizing scream rang out. He buried his face in his hands in despair. Please let me go, let me out, this is all completely wrong, something is not right. Solium, seemingly guessing something, hurriedly turned around, quickly covered this guy's mouth and warned, shut up, be quiet. Lee Jai seemed to feel the danger, his face sweating profusely. Without anyone knowing when, a crowd of employees in mascot costumes had crept up on them, looking at them with incredibly cold eyes. Even the ones in mascot costumes far away had the same expression. Fortunately, after just 3 seconds, everything seemed to return to normal scenery. Only then did Solium release Lee Jai. But this wasn't the end. Immediately after, the purple-haired girl strode toward him and gifted this guy a kick to the face, causing him to whine like a puppy lying on the ground. She coldly warned, try crying and whining one more time and see what happens. I'll send you on your way personally before I start taking care of business here. Hear me clearly. Solium looked at that scene and felt a deep longing for his old teammates. It's only been a short while and I already miss them. Oh, seniors of Team D.